Welcome and reader caution. This novel explores slightly mature emotional themes and character relationships that may not be suitable for very young audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Chapter 1 I Won't Move Anymore. I Want to Continue to Be a Dragon. Year 1521 of the Sea Calendar, Holy Land Mary Geoise. Son, do we really have to move? In a magnificent palace, Anna couldn't help but ask. She really couldn't understand why her son, a dignified celestial dragon, would want to move to a small country to be an emperor. Move, we definitely have to move. Kam's attitude was firm, thinking to himself that if he didn't move quickly, his life would be in danger. Whoever wants to be a celestial dragon can be one. It's been over a year since Whitebeard died, and in less than a year, Luffy will set sail again. According to the trend of the manga, the celestial dragons won't be able to jump around for long. Once the rule of the celestial dragons is overthrown, a celestial dragon like him, who can't even tie up a chicken, will definitely be tortured and killed by the angry residents. As for why he's so sure, just think about Doflamingo's childhood experience. The world is vast, but life is the most important. While I still have power, money, and influence, isn't it great to buy a kingdom and be an emperor? Kam felt very emotional. He felt that if he became a wise ruler of a country, he would have a popular base, and even if the celestial dragons fell later, outsiders would find it difficult to vent their anger on him. At worst, he could live a few more years. Although the status is much lower compared to a celestial dragon, I can still have 3,000 beauties in my harem, diligently sow seeds, and enjoy myself, right? Kam chuckled dryly, starting to headache over how to become a wise ruler of a country. Ding triggered keyword. Seed, activated the More Children, More Blessings system. Please host expand your branches and leaves to revitalize the celestial dragons. 0.01%. 100%. Ding congratulations host received Shin Shou Li Bao. Armament Hockey Basic Mastery. Kam stood frozen, listening blankly to the mechanical voice that suddenly sounded in his mind. Familiar, it's too damn familiar. System. I am here. Woo. Kam suddenly cried, tears gushing out like a fire hydrant. I have a system too. Suddenly, Kam felt all the pressure and unwillingness dissipate at this moment. How good it is to be a celestial dragon. He has money if he wants money, power if he wants power, women if he wants women. He doesn't have to do anything, just lie there. If he had a choice, who wouldn't want to be a celestial dragon? Since crossing over, Kam had been thinking day and night about how he could continue to be a celestial dragon, unable to eat or sleep. He really couldn't see any hope, which was why he planned to run away early and become an emperor. As a result, the country was bought, the luggage was packed, and the system arrived. Son, the luggage will be ready soon. Anna packed the luggage while comforting Kam not to cry. Quote. Kam didn't reply, sizing up Anna in her maid outfit. Anna was picked up by Kam on the street not long after he crossed over. She looked very much like Rem, so he picked her up. Anna, do you want to change your identity? Kam suddenly asked. Change my identity? Seeing Kam staring at her with a somewhat different look in his eyes, Anna instantly understood what Kam meant. Anna's face turned red with shyness, and she weakly said, after we move, son can have Anna do anything. Jheji. Kam let out a villain's exclusive laugh and approached Anna. Anna let out a soft cry, her face instantly turning red with shyness. So, son. No, aren't we still moving? Even if son is in a hurry, he shouldn't be this hurried, it's still daytime. Not moving, I'm going to be a muddle-headed, bah. I'm going to continue being a celestial dragon. Kam was overjoyed, what's the point of moving when he has a system? As long as he kills Luffy, he won't need to die and can continue to enjoy a life of ease. After a little over 3 minutes. Woo. Kam wanted to cry. He only realized now that this body had no advantages except for being decent looking. Not only was his physical fitness extremely poor, but he was also terrible in other aspects. Ding congratulations host completed a major life event. Experience points plus 100. Achieved Pioneer Achievement. Reward. Basic Observation Hockey. But it's okay, I have a system, I will only get stronger the more I fight. Kam clenched his fists tightly. He felt that since it was a proper system, it wouldn't be difficult to reward him with a power-boosting pill. Warning, warning, detected host is too weak. System error occurred, searching for new host. Error host eradication countdown. Remaining time 3 minutes. Holy shit. System, don't mess with me. Hearing the mechanical voice in his mind, Cam was instantly stunned. He subconsciously thought the system was joking, but the pain from his body and the feeling of his soul being stripped away told Cam that this was real. A strong sense of death spread throughout his body. System, don't do this. Woo woo woo. I'm not weak. I'm not weak. I can still fight. I can still. Cam was so scared he started wailing, not caring if it would work. He grabbed Anna, as if to continue putting in work. Woo woo, system, I'm not weak, look. I'm very strong. Cam roared hoarsely, but his skills were still on cooldown, and he couldn't unleash his ultimate move at all. Wah wah wah. I don't want to die. Damn it. Damn it. Cam wailed loudly, he was truly afraid of death. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thought of running away in advance to save his life. However, no matter how much Cam wailed, the sense of death never faded for a moment, and the sound of the death countdown in his mind was like the footsteps of the Grim Reaper, bringing despair step by step. Remaining time 30 seconds. 29. 28. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. It's over. Cam tightly closed his eyes. At this moment, he felt he was the most unlucky crosser. He was happy for only a few minutes, and now he was going to die because he was weak. Come on, this is the original host's body, what does it have to do with me? Cam wanted to roar out. But not to mention the intense pain in his body, there was also no time left. 3, 2, 1. Eradication program starting. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. System. Half a minute later. Cam. He was stunned again. The countdown voice ended, and a full half-minute passed, but it seemed like nothing happened. Not only that, but the intense pain he felt earlier also disappeared instantly. He opened his eyes and found Anna staring at him with a face full of surprise. This is still Mary Geoise. I'm not dead. Before Cam could think further, a somewhat speechless mechanical voice sounded in his mind. Ding == detected no one exceeding 3 minutes within Mary Geoise's range. Ding == rebound with host. Ding == please host complete the correction task and display your grand ambitions again. Cam was a bit confused, but before he could think more, a task bar suddenly appeared before his eyes. Task. Tie the knot. Legal lowly. Secretary MILF. Chapter 2 Objectives. Holy Land Mary Geoise, Pangea Castle, inside the Five Elders conference room. Quote. The atmosphere in the room was very heavy. A wanted poster lay across the conference table, and beside the wanted poster were 5 reports of celestial dragons being murdered, and 5 impeachment documents from celestial dragon families against Marines who failed to protect the celestial dragons. Knock knock. Before long, a knock sounded. A secretary miss dressed in black placed the 6th report of celestial dragon being murdered and the 6th impeachment document on the table. 5 elders. The secretary miss gave a respectful salute, and then politely withdrew. Bang. After the secretary miss left, an old man with a goat beard slammed the table and stood up. That bastard world is simply not putting his celestial dragons in his eyes. This is already the 5th clansman to be murdered. No, it's the 6th, a bald old man corrected. Damn it, damn it. The remaining 3 old men only felt a headache, and found that the world's situation became more and more unclear after the top war. What should we do now? Notify the Navy, and then summon the Shichibukai to capture and kill world. The dignity of his celestial dragons must not be trampled upon. In addition, let the clansmen not go out to sea to play before capturing and killing world. To avoid accidents. That's the only way. Quote. The 5 old men discussed it and finally issued such an order to the relevant authorities. Report. Before long, a CP0 in charge of emergency communications came to report in a hurry. Hey, don't tell me another celestial dragon has been murdered. The 5 old men clutched their heads with a headache. During their tenure, encountering so many incidents of celestial dragons being murdered, Even if they are the five elders, they would not be able to withstand the pressure from the celestial dragon families. No, it's not. It's Cam Saint, he. That CP0 hurriedly shook his head, then gave a salute to the five old men, and told Cam's whereabouts. What? The five old men stood up abruptly. Cam has summoned the navy and went out. What is that brat Cam summoning the navy for? He doesn't want to personally lead the troops to fight Rayleigh, does he? The five old men had a headache again. Because Cam Saint, one of the direct descendants of the Clucklade family, has recently been clamoring that they should quickly deal with Straw Hat Kid. It's just that they have always rejected it because Pluton Rayleigh is on the island where Straw Hat Kid is training. They know that Cam's worry is not unreasonable, but they really don't think that a mere Straw Hat Kid can awaken Nika form. No, it's not. The CP0 in charge of reporting the news shook his head and said respectfully, Cam Saint seems to have led troops to rob a woman. Woman. Female slave. No, it seems to be going to rob a woman to have children with. Ah. The five old men were full of question marks and didn't turn the corner for a while. In order to maintain their bloodline, they celestial dragons disdained to combine with commoners. Except for some celestial dragons with brain problems. Like Charlos. Suddenly, an old man looked at Saint Saturn and said in surprise, Old Five, there is a celestial dragon with no intelligence problems, and he does not reject commoner women. Your advocacy of intermarriage with different races seems to have the possibility of realization. Who is the Nefertari family who is of marriageable age now? It seems to be Vivi. Okay, now is not the time to talk about this kind of thing. Saint Saturn coughed, what is important now is the safety of Cam at sea now. Five elders. That CP0 gave a salute and asked tentatively, do you need to bring Cam Saint back? No need, it's just robbing some unimportant commoners. Saint Warkery glanced at World's Wanted order on the table, and then ordered, send another Navy Admiral to assist Cam and be sure to protect Cam's safety. Ah, this. The CP0's face suddenly became strange, and there was a sentence in his heart that he didn't know whether to say or not. What's wrong? Saint Warkery asked. Five elders. That CP0 truthfully said, Admiral Kizaru has already gone. Ah. The faces of the five old men turned strange again. When a celestial dragon is harmed, the Navy Admiral must come forward to maintain it. However, celestial dragons cannot directly mobilize Navy Admiral without their five elders. How did Cam call Borsellino? An old man asked curiously. Not very clear, it seems to be saying that he will give a salary. Ah. At this time, not far from Mary Geoise, in the New World waters, a Navy warship was sailing mightily on the sea. Esteemed Saint Crocrade Cam, the salary you mentioned. On the deck, Kizaru Borsellino approached Cam with a flattering face, very interested in the salary. What's the hurry? Cam glared at Kizaru unhappily, and found that he really cherished his salary. Esteemed Saint Crocrade Cam, are we really going to dismantle Doflamingo's stage? Behind him, Admiral candidates Kaji and Guion couldn't help but ask, very interested in this trip. Because of Doflamingo's Shichibukai status, they knew that the former was an restless pirate who had dealings with various underground black industries, but they could not attack him. But with the order of the Celestial Dragon, this point can be completely ignored. That's for sure. Cam nodded emphatically, indicating that he was going to take Doflamingo's lair. At the same time, a figure eating grapes appeared in his mind, sugar. Legal lowly, the first thing Cam thought of was sugar. As for the secretary MILF, isn't it a coincidence, Monet? Take Doflamingo's lair. Many Marines immediately perked up and found that not all celestial dragons were human-like. There are also righteous people like them. Then what should we do? A Marine asked happily. Cam said truthfully, I have taken a fancy to a woman and want to take her home. Ah. All the Marines only felt their faces hurt, and felt that they should not waste their feelings. What are your expressions? To be honest, the woman I like is Sugar. Sugar. Kaji stood up and asked, is it the toy fruit ability user, Sugar? Yes. Cam nodded slightly, since you Marines know Sugar, you should also know Sugar's important position in Doflamingo's forces. After I take her over as a woman, can it be considered that I have taken Doflamingo's lair? Ah, This. Everyone's mouths twitched for a while, and it was the first time they had seen someone describe the act of forcibly robbing a woman from a good family so freshly and refined. But after thinking about it, it makes sense. Their navy also has some information about sugar, but as Cam said, if sugar can be taken away, it will definitely be a heavy blow to Doflamingo's forces. Moreover, the other party is a pirate, not a good family. Esteemed Saint Crocrade Cam. A marine gave a salute and asked, since sugar is so important to Doflamingo, why does your lordship think you can definitely get sugar? If the soft one doesn't work, just grab it directly, I am a celestial dragon. Cam glared at the marines, otherwise, what do you think I brought you here for? Comma comma. Comma comma. Chapter 3 I will interrogate this woman personally. The time was short. Dressrosa, Royal Palace. Kizaru rode the golden light, leaving everyone else in the dust. Boom, boom, boom. Several explosions sounded, and the battle quickly came to an end. Fufafufu, Kizaru. Are you going against the world government? I am a Shichibukai. Doflamingo's forehead bulged with veins as he glared at Kizaru. He really didn't understand what authority a Navy admiral had to arrest him. You must know that the title of Shichibukai was granted by the world government, making him a legal pirate. Moreover, Doflamingo's eyes widened as he added, I possess the blood of a celestial dragon. Ah! Kizaru rolled his eyes at Doflamingo. He thought to himself that Boss Cam Saint was a genuine celestial dragon, unlike this abandoned pawn. Celestial dragon, how scary yo. Kizaru chuckled and said truthfully, however, I am only doing errands under commission. Errands. Doflamingo's pupils shrank, not understanding who could possibly make a Navy admiral do errands. Tap tap. Before he could think further, a mighty sound of footsteps came from outside the palace gate. Soon, a large group of people swarmed in. The person at the head was draped in a red robe, wearing red clothes, and had a big red flower pinned to his chest. It was Cam. Kizaru. What are you doing? Cam roared, feigning anger, didn't I say to treat Doflamingo well? In his heart, he was overjoyed. Originally, he was worried whether Kizaru would have difficulty capturing Doflamingo, but the result was that Kizaru completely crushed him. As expected, with the salary in place, even the 4 emperors can be taken down. Taking down Doflamingo was a sure thing. Is it you who wants to deal with me? Doflamingo glared at Cam. Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Cam said with a friendly face, my name is Cam. Doflamingo, I'm here to propose marriage to you. Propose marriage to me. Doflamingo's expression turned strange, and he subconsciously shrank his butt. Ah. Cam noticed Doflamingo's butt movement. I didn't explain clearly. Cam coughed lightly and explained, what I mean is, I'm proposing marriage to your Don Quixote family. Phew. Doflamingo breathed a long sigh of relief, and his tightened butt immediately relaxed. I wonder which woman in my family you have taken a fancy to. He pretended to be polite and asked, guessing Cam's identity. Cam said truthfully, sugar. Sugar. Doflamingo almost spat out a mouthful of old blood, wondering if he had misheard. He tentatively asked, that sugar who likes to eat grapes? Yes. Damn it, how old is she? Doflamingo trembled all over. Doflamingo, don't think I don't know sugar's real age. In terms of age, she's only 1 year younger than me. It's her blessing that I can take a fancy to her. Cam smiled. Ah, this. Doflamingo was instantly speechless, not knowing how to refute Cam's words. Sugar ate the toy fruit. Although she looks extremely young, she is already 21 years old. Doflamingo, let me reiterate, my full name is Korakuredo Kamu. Cam's expression suddenly turned cold. I am the 5th direct son of the Clucklade family. You were also a celestial dragon before, so you should know the power of this identity. You're threatening me. Doflamingo gritted his teeth. You can understand it that way. Cam smiled faintly, you can also understand this as a normal marriage. First of all, I can guarantee that I won't mistreat Sugar. Moreover, if Sugar becomes my woman, you will be equivalent to establishing a friendly relationship with my Clucklade family. Fufafufu. Doflamingo's forehead bulged with veins, feeling that Cam was just talking nonsense. Won't mistreat her. What the hell do you mean won't mistreat her? How many women who become celestial dragons women have a good ending? Moreover, Sugar is of great significance to him, Doflamingo. The normal operation of his kingdom depends entirely on sugar's ability to maintain it. In other words, he can't lose sugar even if he loses Doflamingo. Impossible. Doflamingo refused on the spot. Sugar is the most important person in my Don Quixote family. I'll add money. Adding money won't work either. Quote, quote. Quote, quote. Cam continued to raise the price, even using the condition that he could help him return to the Holy Land, but the latter still refused to let go. For a time, the marriage talks were at a stalemate. That's right, Doflamingo treats his subordinates like family, so how could he let her marry a celestial dragon with a terrible reputation? System. Suddenly, Cam asked the system, can I get on the bus first and then buy the ticket later? No problem, but rewards will not be triggered if the favorability rating fails. What I mean is, can it be considered completing the task? Of course. Good. Great. Cam was secretly delighted and immediately ordered, Guion. Go tie that woman from the underground port over here. Yes. Guion seriously gave a military salute and then went out. It's worth mentioning that Cam originally intended to marry Sugar, so she wasn't tied up like Doflamingo and suffering, but was still staying in the underground port. The underground port is some distance from the royal palace, and it will take some time for Guion to tie Sugar over. Cam took advantage of the boredom to go outside to see if there were any good-looking captives. As a result, he saw a surprise when he went out. Monet, why is she here? Cam saw a woman with a pair of wings from afar, seemingly arguing with the Marines. Damn Marines, don't you know that this is the territory of Shichibukai Doflamingo? Damn Marines, young master is the king of Dressrosa. Your navy has no right to interfere in his country's internal affairs. I want to see your leader, let me go. Let me go. Monet's chest heaved with anger, still not understanding what had happened here. What's going on with her? Cam trotted over and inquired, only to learn. Monet had specially returned from Punk Hazard to report on her work, but she was caught as soon as she entered the royal palace gate. Ha ha ha, it's really effortless to get what you want, she actually delivered herself to my door. Cam only remembered halfway that Monet should be at Punk Hazard at this time, so he was planning to take down Monet on the way back. As a result, it can only be said that it is fate. Leave this woman to me, I want to interrogate her personally. Yes. Chapter 4 Please forgive Monet. Let go of me, what do you want to do, let me down quickly. Jia. Cam burst out with the exclusive laughter of a villain, like a bandit entering a village, carrying Monet and running towards the direction of the royal palace. Since I saw the sister first, then the sister first. Let go of me, let go of me. Monet struggled violently, trying to break free from Cam's shoulder. It's just that Cam has armament hockey, and he pinched Monet to death. Monet, what's wrong with you? Inside the palace, Doflamingo looked at Monet on Cam's shoulder in shock, not understanding why this dispatched person came back. Isn't this a sheep entering a tiger's mouth? Young master, what exactly is going on, why are there so many navy? Monet said anxiously, wanting to know what happened. It's just that before she could hear the answer she wanted, Cam carried her into a small room. Bastard. Bastard. Let me go. Let me go. Monet struggled even more violently. No problem. Cam put Monet on his shoulder onto the bed. Bastard, I want to see your leader. I want to see your leader. Leader. I am. Cam laughed and took off his coat. You are the leader. Monet was stunned for a moment, then her expression turned to horror after noticing Cam's movements. What do you want to do? Jia, what do you think? Cam burst out with the exclusive laughter of a villain, thinking that this is the gold content of a celestial dragon. You. Monet's chest heaved with anger, not understanding when the navy had such a scumbag. Isn't the matter of robbing innocent women something that their Don Quixote family should do? She wanted to elementalize and escape, but the man in front of her actually knew armament hockey. You bad egg. Young master will not let you go. Monet retreated to the wall and roared hysterically. Don't think that just because the navy is helping you, we will let you slaughter us. Young master's background is something you can't afford to offend. In her opinion, her young master not only has the blood of a celestial dragon, but is also the man who will become the pirate king in the future. And the man in front of her is just a rich son who bribed the navy with money to hire the navy. Background. Can't afford to offend. Cam frowned slightly, thinking about what background Doflamingo had that he had overlooked. However, Cam's frown made Monet misunderstand. Monet, he's scared. Monet stood up straight and smiled triumphantly. To tell you the truth, young master is not only the king of Dressrosa, a Shichibukai, but also has the noble celestial dragon bloodline. Young master is someone you can't afford to offend. Crap, I forgot. Cam slapped his head, and then he remembered that he only made it clear to Doflamingo that he was a celestial dragon. The other executives don't know at all, let alone Monet who broke in halfway. Can't afford to offend. Cam took a step forward and grabbed Monet's slender waist. Let me introduce myself. My name is Cam, my full name is Korakuredo Kamu Say. What, say? Monet's pupils contracted sharply, and the trace of confidence in her heart was completely gone. Say. Only celestial dragon can be called Say with the suffix after the name. He is a celestial dragon. No, no. He may be trying to trick me. Monet shook her head in her heart. She felt that even the most evil celestial dragon had no reason to come to Dressrosa specifically to rob women. Ha gee. Before Monet could think too much, a celestial dragon token smashed in her face completely shattered her delusion. Celestial dragon Sama. Monet was so frightened that she collapsed on the ground and asked tremblingly, what exactly do you want to do? Doflamingo has offended me. Logically speaking, you should all die, but if you follow me. Cam laughed and stared at Monet with wolf-like eyes. Don't even think about deceiving me. Monet's eyes were as cold as frost, and she replied sternly, even if you are a celestial dragon, young master also has the celestial dragon bloodline. You can't kill him. Cam frowned and looked at Monet curiously. He wasn't surprised by Monet's rudeness, but, under normal circumstances, shouldn't it be shame and anger under this condition? Why is her first consideration whether Doflamingo will die? That's right. Cam thought for a moment, and his eyes lit up. In the Doflamingo group, Monet is not the woman Doflamingo loves. But Monet is the woman who is most infatuated with Doflamingo. Maybe. Cam's mouth raised slightly, and he suddenly had an idea in his mind. I can't kill Doflamingo. Cam laughed so hard that he said he had never heard such a funny joke. Indeed. If he is a normal celestial dragon, I really can't kill him. Cam shook his head and said truthfully, but it's a pity, he is just an abandoned son. His parents took the initiative to give up their celestial dragon status, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that they are traitors. Cam took a step forward, pinched Monet's pretty face and smiled. Do you think that if I kill him, will the celestial dragon protect a traitor, or me? After speaking, Cam shouted loudly outside the house, Kizaru. This old man is here. Kizaru's loud voice came from outside the house. Miss Monet. Cam held Monet's throat and said indifferently, Guess, do I dare to let Kizaru kill Doflamingo now? I. Monet was so frightened that she was incoherent, and her face was even paler. Her intuition told her that young master was a descendant of the celestial dragon, and this Cam in front of her probably couldn't kill young master. But the indifference in Cam's eyes also told her. He might really do it. Ha ha. Seeing the hesitation in Monet's eyes, Cam let go and said casually, that is, I, Cam, have taken a fancy to the woman beside him. Even if he is a traitor, I don't want to kill him. It's just. Cam changed the subject. This. Monet is not stupid. How could she not hear the meaning in Cam's words, but this kind of thing? It's really too that what? She, Monet, didn't know what to do for a while. Forget it. Since Miss Monet is unwilling. I, Cam, am not the kind of person who makes things difficult for others. Seeing that Monet was still hesitant, Cam simply waved his hand and pretended to sway to the door. He smiled faintly, however, offending the celestial dragon, and also offending the most noble celestial dragon like me. I can only kill those who offend me according to the rules. He was about to leave. Don't. At this time, Monet stepped forward and grabbed Cam, not letting him leave. She didn't know whether Cam's words were intimidation or fact. But she knew one thing. She must not let young master be harmed in any way. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 5 Sugar. Opening square bracket closing square bracket. Ding equals detecting that Monet's affection for the host is zero, Detecting Monet's destiny value is 60. Detecting Monet's beauty value is 90. Ding equals affection is too low to trigger wasteland reward. Ding equals detecting Doflamingo nearby, triggering special conditions. Achieve hidden achievement, collect all 5 pieces to obtain a permanent skill. Ding equals detecting Monet's affection for the host has increased. Opening square bracket comma closing square bracket. Hearing the system's broadcast, Cam started muttering to himself. I remember that although Monet is very infatuated with Doflamingo, Doflamingo doesn't have much affection for Monet. But judging from the system's feedback, is there still a little bit of affection? Then why did Doflamingo still let Monet monitor Caesar? Lord Cam didn't understand it very well. He clearly remembered that Monet was one of the few characters in open double angle bracket Pirate King close double angle bracket whose death was meticulously portrayed, and the most fundamental reason was that under Doflamingo's arrangement, Monet became Caesar's secretary as a spy. Forget it, forget it. Doflamingo, since you don't cherish such a beautiful woman like Monet, then give her to me. I'm also saving her. Lord Cam nodded secretly in his heart, feeling that it made sense. Saving a life is better than building a 7-level pagoda. Esteemed Saint Crocrade Cam. Monet knelt down with a thump, begging Cam to let the Don Quixote family go. Hey, stop. Cam waved his hand and said, Monet, you are now my woman, Cam's woman, so you don't need to be so restrained in terms of status. Okay. Monet was obviously stunned for a moment, feeling that the celestial dragon in front of her seemed different from the rumors. Monet got up and asked tentatively, I wonder, Cam Saint, about young master's matter. Don't worry. Cam patted his chest, indicating that he kept his word. In fact, he had no intention of taking Doflamingo's life. Knock knock. Just then, a knock sounded outside the door. It was Guillaume who had brought Sugar tied up. Cam rested for a while before shouting outside the house, Guillaume. Bring her in. Yes. Soon, Sugar was thrown in crying. Woo woo woo. Sister. What's going on? Why are the Navy arresting us? Young master went crazy just now and said he wanted to save you. What's wrong with you? Wait. Sugar's crying stopped abruptly, staring blankly at Monet's appearance. Sister. Your hands, your feet. How? Sugar didn't understand it very well. Her sister had always been a beauty, but now her sister was neither human nor bird. Could it be you? Sugar noticed Cam. It must be you, you turned my sister into that. Sugar's small cheeks were puffed up, glaring at Cam angrily. If she hadn't been tied up like a dumpling, she would have gone up and turned this man into stone. Sugar, you misunderstood. Seeing Sugar's misunderstanding, Monet hurriedly explained the ins and outs of her body. The reason why she returned to Dressrosa today, in addition to reporting on her work, was to tell Sugar in person about her body being modified by law. So that's how it is. Sugar patted her thigh and asked again, but sister, why did you become like this? Monet said, have you forgotten? I always wanted wings. Really? Sugar's eyes seemed to have a trace of reminiscence. Her sister seemed to have said that when she was a child. By the way, Sugar. Monet asked curiously, you just said that young master went crazy to save me. Is this true? Really? Sugar nodded repeatedly like a chick pecking at rice. Young master even cried, but he is no match for that wretched old man outside. Is that so? Monet murmured in her heart, with a trace of relief on her face. It seems that young master still cares about me after all. Cough cough. Cam coughed. Monet's subtle expression naturally couldn't escape Cam's eyes. Thinking about other men in front of him, Cam was still a little jealous. However, he, Cam, wouldn't be so naive as to think that an infatuated woman like Monet would change her mind after a coercion and inducement. This is impossible. Of course, he, Cam, also has confidence that Monet's snow-like cold heart will eventually melt one day. As the saying goes, familiarity breeds affection. Monet regained her thoughts and pulled back to the topic and asked, Lord Cam, I wonder what you brought Sugar in here for. This. Cam looked at Sugar's body with interest, making a strange laugh. Ah. Monet blinked her eyes. She would be a ghost if she didn't understand what bad idea Cam had. Esteemed Saint Crocrade Cam. Thump. With a sound. Monet immediately knelt down. You can't do anything to Sugar. She is still a child. A 21-year-old child. Cam glared at Monet with a smile, indicating not to joke with him. Ah, this. Monet was speechless. Her sister is indeed 21 years old, and it seems that she is indeed not a child. Cam said truthfully, to tell you the truth, the purpose of my coming today is to marry Miss Sugar as my wife. However, Doflamingo doesn't know what's good for him and refuses to bring this marriage together, so there will be things that happen later. After Cam finished speaking, he slowly approached Sugar, who was tied up like a dumpling. Cam, you just said I was your woman. At this time, Monet became tough, and she sternly questioned, don't you even let go of your woman's sister. She is indeed infatuated with Doflamingo, but she loves Sugar no less. Sugar and Doflamingo are equally important in Monet's heart. She must not let her sister be defiled by Cam. Absolutely not. Monet cried again and said, you are a noble celestial dragon. I don't ask you to let me live a few more years, nor do I ask you to treat me well. I only ask you to let go of my sister, she is innocent. No way. Cam refused directly and continued to approach Sugar, who was shrinking in the corner. Damn it. You bastard. Seeing that Cam was unmoved, Monet suddenly became furious. Blizzard. With a loud shout, she activated her devil fruit ability. Immediately, the entire room was covered in snow and ice, and the whistling cold wind roared towards Cam. Gion. Seeing this situation, Cam directly called out. As soon as the shout fell, Gion flashed out. Boom boom. One side is the secretary, and the other side is the admiral candidate. It is conceivable who will win and who will lose. Don't blame me, if it weren't for me, this variable, you would have gone back to continue monitoring Caesar and then died. Cam glanced at Monet, whose face was full of despair, his heart did not have the slightest ripple, but his eyes were firm. He approached Sugar step by step, and his firm eyes turned into excitement. However, just as Cam was about to touch Sugar's body, he suddenly froze and stopped abruptly. Retreat. 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 Cam took several steps back as if he had seen a monster. Toy Toy Fruit. Chapter 6 Fairy Princess, Mansurely. So close. So close. Cam's body trembled violently, his heart screaming about the danger. Sugar is a user of the Toy Toy Devil Fruit. Although the Toy Toy Devil Fruit has no offensive power, it can turn anyone who touches her into a toy. And after becoming a toy, the world will lose all memories related to the victim. There will definitely be contact during that, it's unavoidable. If I really turn into a toy, Kizaru might not remember me. And with my current armament Haki. Cam clenched his fist, condensing armament Haki, and his heart began to waver. He didn't think his initial armament Haki could suppress the power of the Toy Toy Devil Fruit. Damn it, what should I do then? The loli who best fits the system's conditions, I don't dare touch, let alone do that with. Cam looked at Sugar, who was close at hand, and beat his chest in frustration. Wait. Suddenly, Cam had a flash of inspiration, Sea Stone handcuffs. Ha ha ha. How could I forget about Sea Stone? Cam slapped his forehead. Sea Stone can suppress devil fruit users. And. Cam muttered two words full of endless reverie in his heart, and the corners of his mouth rose, wanting to let out a sinister laugh. Open black lens bracket ding equals host, it's useless, this woman does not meet the conditions close black lens bracket. Ah. The corners of Cam's raised mouth suddenly froze, and he was very puzzled. Doesn't meet. She's 21 years old, a loli. You're telling me she's not a legal loli? Cam asked the system. Damn it. Telling him now that she doesn't meet the conditions means he's been wasting his time. Open black lens bracket ding equals she is a legal loli close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket but her devil fruit is special and she cannot bear offspring for the time being, so she does not meet the conditions, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket unless, close black lens bracket. Unless what? Cam hurriedly asked. Open black lens bracket unless she can further develop the Toy Toy Devil Fruit, so that her body is not restricted and her body develops normally close black lens bracket. Crap. System, be reliable. Cam couldn't help but curse in his heart. Further develop devil fruit. By the time Sugar develops it, the celestial dragons might all be wiped out. Open black lens bracket ding equals. Open black lens bracket please host complete the task as soon as possible. Failure to complete within 3 days will be deemed a task failure. Close black lens bracket. What? Only 3 days left. Cam stroked his chin and thought to himself, it seems I can only go back to Mary Geoise and exploit the bug first. Now, he already knows why he wasn't obliterated by the system last time. It was purely because he took advantage of the celestial dragon's weakness. In Mary Geoise, the system can't find a more suitable host than him. Although Cam is a little weak, he is the strongest among the celestial dragons. No one. Open black lens bracket ding equals equals. Open black lens bracket. This system has been automatically upgraded. Please host do not try to exploit the bug. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Please host complete the task as soon as possible. Close black lens bracket. Crap. Why didn't you say so earlier? Open black lens bracket. Host did not ask. Close black lens bracket. Hearing the mechanical voice in his head, Cam was furious. If he had known that the time limit was so short and he couldn't exploit the bug, he would have gone to the people to find a dwarfism woman as a backup. Wait. Suddenly, Cam had a flash of inspiration. Dwarfism. Cam stroked his chin and thought. Dwarfism is also called short stature, short, small. Hiss. Dwarf. Dwarf. Pa. Cam immediately slapped himself. How could I forget about the dwarf? The dwarfs are smaller than sugar, but the dwarfs' small size is due to racial characteristics. So he didn't immediately associate the dwarfs with legal lowly. Cam stroked his chin and thought, the dwarfs' physique should also meet the conditions for me. And if I remember correctly, the current fairy princess Mancheri is imprisoned in this royal palace. And the dwarfs are notoriously easy to deceive, very easy. No. I can completely rescue Mancheri now. System, tell me first whether Mancheri meets the conditions. Cam asked the system. Open black lens bracket. Mancheri. 24 years old. Princess of the Tontata Kingdom. Heal fruit user, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Meet the requirements. Close black lens bracket. Gia ha ha ha. Heaven is really helping me. Cam was overjoyed. He immediately put away his thoughts, withdrew the hand that was about to grab sugar, then moved to Monet and changed his face. Ah ha ha ha. Monet, I was just kidding. How could I possibly attack my woman's sister? I'm not an animal. Cam put on a serious look and said. Really? Monet spoke with sobs because of sadness and despair. Of course it's true. But, Cam laughed, leaned close to Monet's ear and whispered a few words. Let us act. Monet was full of question marks, not understanding what bad idea this shameless celestial dragon had. That's right. Soon, the Don Quixote family, under Monet's intervention and Cam's coercion and inducement, all got the script. Of course, Doflamingo is excluded, he would rather die than submit. Comma. Not long after, a large group of people came to the front of the palace where Mancheri was imprisoned. The leader was wearing a red robe, a white shirt, and a large sword at his waist. It is Cam. Princess Mancheri, where are you? I'm here to save you. Cam shouted anxiously, looking eager to save people. However, the next moment. Boom. Koa fufufu. With a loud noise, accompanied by a strange laugh, a pirated Doflamingo wearing a Doflamingo mask burst out and blocked Cam. He looked arrogant, but with a hint of wretchedness. Koa fufufu, who are you? The masked Kizaru burst out with Doflamingo's signature laughter and laughed. How dare you interfere with my Kizaru, Doflamingo's affairs? Doflamingo. You have imprisoned Princess Mancheri for many years for your own selfish desires. Today I, Cam, am here to act on behalf of heaven. Cam drew out the big sword at his waist and pointed at the pirated Doflamingo, shouting righteously. Hiss. The pirated Doflamingo's eyes lit up and he exclaimed, could you be Cam, the powerful, brave 600 words omitted here, the legendary hero Cam? That's right. Cam nodded with his sword and said, I am the powerful, brave 600 words omitted here. Thus, a cliché, embarrassing hero saves beauty story that actors can use their toes to dig out a 3-bedroom apartment officially began. Boom boom. Clang clang. The sound of artillery fire and fighting was deafening. Cam successively broke through the executives of the Don Quixote family, and finally after a tragic battle, Cam difficultly defeated Doflamingo. At this time, Mancheri, who had watched the tragic battle from beginning to end, also came out of the imprisoned cottage. You, are you here to save me? Mancheri looked up and stared, her eyes flickering with tears, and a deer was bumping around in her heart. What woman doesn't yearn for spring? Especially when this woman has been imprisoned for several years, and then a hero descends from the sky to save her. Are you the legendary fairy princess, Mancheri? Cam asked knowingly. Chapter 7. Will you marry me? Yes, I am. Princess Mancheri nodded slightly. May I ask, do we know each other? Princess Mancheri's face flushed crimson. If we don't know each other, if. Princess Mancheri lowered her head, her toes sweeping from time to time, as if she was about to say something very embarrassing. If we don't know each other, we can get to know each other now. Of course, we know each other. Cam Saint looked at Princess Mancheri with joy, feeling that he had a chance to win her over. Cam Saint said with a smile, 3 years ago, I heard from the Shrimp Bull Kingdom. There is a beautiful, kind, and wise fairy princess living on an island called Green Bit. With a hint of admiration for the fairy princess, I asked father to send someone to propose marriage. But upon further inquiry, I learned that the fairy princess was imprisoned for several years by Doflamingo, the king of Dressrosa. And that king is none other than Doflamingo, the Shichibukai with extremely powerful strength. At that time, my strength was low, and I couldn't go to rescue you. I wanted to borrow the power of the family, but the family only thought I was crazy. From that time on, I desperately became stronger and set a 3-year agreement for myself. Quote, quote. Cam Saint's tall tales came easily. If someone didn't know the truth, they would really be fooled by Cam Saint. And Princess Mancheri was the one who didn't know the truth. Plus, the heroic rescue scene just now, and the dwarf are famous for being easily deceived. Woo woo. Tears of emotion flowed from Princess Mancheri's eyes, feeling that Cam Saint was the #1 hero in the world. Tisk tisk. Kizaru, Kaji, Gion, and others who knew the truth in the distance all had goosebumps all over their bodies, saying that they had never seen a celestial dragon with such a thick skin. Who the hell was clamoring to marry Sugar before coming here? As a result, he's deceiving and tricking other women again. Gion rubbed her forehead and couldn't help but say, we are the Navy at least, even if it is the order of the celestial dragon, this kind of deceiving thing. She didn't object to forcibly taking Sugar and Monet. After all, Sugar and Monet are both pirates, and pirates are not worthy of sympathy. But now, that dwarf princess is obviously an innocent person. Being a woman for the celestial dragon is not a good thing. Shish. Squirrel made a shushing gesture and whispered, the celestial dragon does things, why should we care so much? Besides, Cam Saint is not all about deceiving, at least he defeated Doflamingo as a fact. Defeated? Gion's face was full of question marks. Yes. Squirrel nodded, glared at Kizaru unhappily, and said, defeated with money ability. I really admire Lord Cam Saint. Kaji looked at Cam Saint with envy, with an impulse to go forward and ask for advice. With his observation haki, he could naturally see that Princess Mancheri was being fooled by Cam Saint. When he thought that he had confessed to Gion hundreds of times without any results, while Cam Saint could win the heart of a beauty with just one meeting. He was thinking, if he also had this ability, could he win over Gion, whom he had been thinking about day and night? The perspective returns to Cam Saint and Princess Mancheri. Cam Saint continued to talk nonsense, and Princess Mancheri listened with glowing eyes. A series of nonsense was quickly coming to an end. At this time, Cam Saint looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, with a look of relief, although it is hard, everything is worth it. Afterward, he sighed with a look of feigned loss, okay, now that Princess Mancheri is safe, I should leave after sending you back to Green Bit. Huh. Leave. Princess Mancheri blinked her eyes and was immediately stunned. She clearly heard that Cam Saint came to rescue her because he admired her, and even proposed marriage before this. As a result, he just left without doing anything. Could it be that Cam Saint doesn't plan to marry her home? Could it be that Cam Saint is also a blockhead like Leo? Hero, please stay. Princess Mancheri stopped Cam Saint and said, Hero, I have no way to repay your great kindness, except by offering myself in marriage. Ah, this. Cam Saint's eyes widened like dumbbells, and then he pretended to be embarrassed. Princess is a beauty, but. Hero, is there any difficulty? The dwarf are just easily deceived, not stupid. Princess Mancheri saw at a glance that Cam Saint had unspeakable difficulties. Princess Mancheri asked, I wonder if you can tell me. Alas. Cam Saint sighed, with a hint of dodging in his eyes. He, truthfully, said, I originally thought that the so-called fairy princess was a fairy in the storybooks, but I never thought that the so-called fairy was just a dwarf. While saying this, Cam Saint held Princess Mancheri in his palm, compared his height, and shook his head. I am a human, and you are a petite fairy. I did propose to you before, but now I realize that we are not suitable. Princess Mancheri glared at Cam Saint with a smile, her voice clear and cold. What does it matter if you are a human or a fairy? I only know that you are the hero who saved me. I have been imprisoned here for nearly 10 years, and I have long sworn that whoever saves me, I will be their woman. And, hero, don't you think I'm a fool? In this world, all kinds of races can intermarry, and their essence is human beings. Princess Mancheri is just easily deceived, not a fool. When Cam Saint spoke just now, his eyes dodged subconsciously, which was obviously not the real difficulty. Or is the hero disgusted that I am a fairy? Or is the hero disgusted with me as a person? Princess Mancheri's tears spurted out like a fire hydrant's water gun, and she cried. I. Alas. Cam Saint stammered and sighed, then I'll tell you the truth. I was born into an imperial family. Even if I fell in love with you at first sight, it is normal for the imperial harem to have 3,000 beauties. Cam Saint was embarrassed. Princess is such a beauty, how can I delay the princess? I don't care. Princess Mancheri's eyes were firm, and she shouted directly. Seeing Princess Mancheri's firm eyes, Cam Saint was overjoyed. That's what he was waiting for. Although the system said that he could get on the bus first and then buy a ticket, Cam Saint still hoped to marry her properly. And in the process of marrying her properly, Cam Saint still hoped that Princess Mancheri would know something. For example, it was impossible for him to marry only one woman. Oh. Cam Saint's eyes lit up and asked, Princess really doesn't care. Princess Mancheri nodded and said, I am the princess of the Tontata kingdom, and I was also born in an imperial family, so how can I not know that the emperor needs to have children for the family? Princess Mancheri added, even father, who is old, is urged by the elders to have children all day long. If it weren't for father's inability in that area, I should have many younger brothers and sisters. This. Cam Saint frowned, pretending to be embarrassed. Then his brows relaxed, with a look of determination. Cam Saint said with a serious face, since Princess Mancheri has said so, then it would seem that I am too unmanly if I am still timid. After saying that, Cam Saint took out a watermelon-sized diamond from his arms. I don't know how many carats. Anyway, it weighs more than 20 pounds. The size is even bigger than the entire Princess Mancheri. Cam Saint was thinking, he didn't tell a single truth before, now that he has tricked Princess Mancheri into his hands, shouldn't he be more sincere? Cam Saint abandoned his previous hypocrisy and said softly. Are you willing to marry me? The setting sun shone on Cam Saint's firm eyes. The gate reflected, and the afterglow of the setting sun also shone on Princess Mancheri's somewhat astonished pretty face. Hula la la. Time seemed to stand still at this moment. In front of the magnificent palace at sunset, the setting sun stretched the figures of the two people, and the afterglow was a warm-colored filter. Da. A petite shadow climbed onto the watermelon-sized diamond, staggering and climbing onto the other person's shoulder. I do. Chapter 8 Luffy goes out to sea. Not long after. Lord Cam took Princess Mancheri back to Greenbit first. After all, she had been imprisoned by Doflamingo for 9 years. 9 years without going home. When the dwarf of Greenbit learned that Lord Cam had rescued the imprisoned Princess Mancheri, the entire clan celebrated and hailed Cam as a great hero. As for the marriage, they strongly supported it. The dwarf are indeed easily deceived, but they can also be said to be honest, without so many tricks. 3 days later, at night. Mary Geoy's, Cam's palace. Cam and Mancheri were already legally married, so naturally they had to fulfill the obligations of a couple. Ding == congratulations to the host for completing the correction task, the system continues to bind. Task reward. Mighty pill times 3000. Ding, the system detects that the host already has 3 wives, experience value plus 10000. Hiss. Hearing the system's broadcast, Cam was pleasantly surprised. Mighty pill. Good stuff. System, use mighty pill. Ding equals mighty pill is being used. Along with the system broadcast, Cam only felt infinite power suddenly surge in his body. Jia Jia. Comma comma. Comma comma. 3 hours later. Ding equals experience value plus 800. Ding equals detected that Mancheri's affection for the host is 95, detected that Mancheri's destiny value is 80, detected that Mancheri's beauty value is 88. Triggered pioneering reward. Reward. 30% heal fruit devil fruit. Please host become a father as soon as possible to receive all rewards. Jia ha ha ha. With the system in hand, I have the world. In this way, I will have the confidence to fight Wong Luffy and the Dragon Life Army. Revitalize the Celestial Dragon. Cam was overjoyed. A long-lost sense of relief appeared in his eyes. In fact, he had thought about it. If the Dragon Life Army overthrew the rule of the Celestial Dragon, would the Dragon Life Army spare Celestial Dragon like him who had not done evil out of humanitarianism? In the end, Cam came to a conclusion. It's possible, but he would still die. Just like Doflamingo's parents. Husband, I still. Suddenly, Mancheri spoke. Huh. Cam was full of question marks. He wondered if this was what the silly and cute Princess Mancheri would say. Was he hearing things? Mancheri's face was Jiao Shu, and she repeated, Husband, I said I still. Ah, this. Cam looked embarrassed. His skills were still on cooldown, and he couldn't release his ultimate move. Don't worry, husband. I am a heal fruit with heal devil fruit ability, I can help husband. Mancheri seemed to know what Cam was thinking. Her palms were glowing with a warm white light, like a guardian angel. Guarding the future. Heal. Whoosh. An unspeakable sense of comfort, like a heaven-defying treasure in a cultivation novel that improves the physique without any side effects. That's right. It's improvement. Bathed in the light of healing, Cam felt an unprecedented feeling. There is a feeling of being full of power that even carrying a bag of rice to the 6th floor would not be tiring. This is not optimization. Cam was happy at the time. Moreover, my physique seems to have become stronger. Cam clenched his fists, feeling the changes in his body. Jia ha ha ha, let's see who dares to say I can't do it in the future. Comma comma. Comma comma. 7 days later. Ding equals checked that Anna's affection for the host is 95, and the pioneering reward has been reissued to the host. Reward. Armament hockey improvement. Ding equals detected that Monet's affection for the host is 40, unable to trigger. Opening square bracket comma comma closing square bracket. Quote comma comma quote. Cam had no time to pay attention to the system's voice, and was looking at Mancheri with a look of fear. Damn it. I was cheated. Although Mancheri is petite and cute in appearance, Cam only understood after understanding that this is just her disguise. Husband. Mancheri opened her mouth again with blurred eyes. Ah. Hearing this, Cam was afraid, and his legs were shaking. Monster. Monet and Anna looked at Mancheri in shock, like looking at a monster. The two stepped forward and hurriedly persuaded. Mancheri's sister, elder sister, young master, Lord Cam, has been working hard for a week, please have mercy. Phew. Hearing this, Cam breathed a sigh of relief. These two are still sensible and know their difficulties. It's just that he always feels weird. Have mercy. It doesn't seem to describe a man, does it? But before Cam could think too much, he saw Mancheri put her hands on her hips and glared at Anna and Monet with a look of resentment. You can't drive your own car. Don't blame the car for not being good, the road is not flat. Let me tell you, we Tontata clan. When she said this, Mancheri's face was full of pride. As the princess of the Tontata kingdom, she knew about Gui Zhongxi early on. But son, Lord Cam, is not a member of the Tontata clan. Ah, this. Mancheri was stunned for a moment, she really forgot about this. It seems that human strength is naturally inferior to our clan. Thinking of this, Mancheri moved her eyes up and saw Cam's haggard face. Immediately, tears welled up in her eyes. Woo woo woo. I forgot that husband is a member of the giant race. If husband is really not good enough, just say it, I won't blame husband. Cam. His face turned black. Is Mancheri saying human words? Let yourself admit that you are that. Am I still a man? Whoever says I can't do it, I will show him some color. Comma comma. Comma. 5 days later. Husband. Tap tap. Hearing Mancheri's voice, Kam ran away. Damn it. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Life is still important. As long as I run fast enough, I won't hear people say I can't do it. Mancheri was stunned in place, very puzzled and said, I just wanted to say. Husband is very powerful. Why are you running so fast? Could it be that I will eat husband? Ah, this. Anna and Monet Pai Zui, don't you know it yourself? These 2 days. Kam didn't dare to go home. Don't ask. Ask is that official duties are busy. Now I remember that although the dwarf are short in stature, their strength and speed exceed normal humans several times. Kam twisted his forehead and deeply realized what it means to be not judged by appearances. Report. Report. At this moment, news suddenly came. What's the matter? Report to Kam Saint. Straw Hat Luffy, whom you asked us to pay attention to at all times, has set sail. Chapter 9. The Defeat of Wald. Huh. Kam was directly confused. Wasn't there still 9 months before the Straw Hat crew set sail again? Luffy setting sail. What a joke. It's true. For some reason, Straw Hat Kid and Pirate Empress went to World Ship Island. World. Kam frowned, feeling like he had heard this person's name recently, but he couldn't remember who World was for a moment. It's the pirate Bundy World who killed several celestial dragons not long ago. The user of the increase devil fruit, known as Destroyer of the World. So it's him. Kam quickly remembered who this person was. Bundy World was the boss in the special episode Open Double Angle Bracket 3D2Y Close Double Angle Bracket. During Wang Lufei's 2 years of training, he did set sail once, and the reason was that Bundy World had kidnapped the Pirate Empress's 2 younger sisters. Jia ha ha ha, heaven is really helping me. Kam's face showed a look of surprise. After a few days, he found that although he could become stronger by having children, he lacked an objective condition. Time. In less than a year, or rather 9 months, Wang Lufei would set sail again. But it takes 10 months to conceive. If Kam's pregnancy luck is good, his offspring will be born 1 month after Luffy sets sail. If his pregnancy luck is bad, his offspring may be born after Luffy becomes a 4 emperors. In other words, before his offspring are born, Kam's strength will not increase significantly. And Wang Lufei's growth rate is quite fast. He was beaten half to death by Kaido one moment, and the next moment he can make Kaido dumbfounded. If I remember correctly, Wang Lufei hasn't fully grown up at this time. Now is the best time to eliminate Wang Lufei. Kam immediately set off to Pangaea Castle to meet the 5 elders. With his limited strength, the best way to eliminate Wang Lufei was to let the 5 elders send troops to kill him. However, the ideal was full, and the reality was bullshit. The 5 elders directly refused to send troops. Dear 5 elders' grandpas. Kam clenched his fists tightly, glaring at the 5 old men. Straw Hat Luffy has eaten the legendary Nika fruit, we must not let this kind of guy live. When he becomes stronger, our celestial dragons will be in danger. Kam really wanted to give each of these 5 old men 100 big slaps. Did they have to wait for the enemy to grow up? In fact, the first time Kam traveled through time, he suggested that the 5 elders send troops to Ruscana to kill Wang Lufei, but these old men rejected him because Rayleigh is on the island. But now that Wang Lufei has left the island, why aren't they sending troops? We all understand the reasoning. Saint Saturn sighed and said, but the Nika fruit hasn't awakened that form for 800 years. How can you be sure that Straw Hat Luffy is the new Nika? This kind of secret of the Nika fruit has been hidden by us with great difficulty. If we go to great lengths to kill a small pirate, it will make those who are interested suspicious. Kam, you must remember. Saint Warkery patted Kam on the shoulder and said earnestly, our celestial dragon's opponent is never a small pirate, but the growing dragon life army. That's right. Quote. Kam trembled with anger, feeling that these old men would bear the blame for the destruction of the celestial dragons in the future. How can I be sure? I traveled through time, how can I not be sure? 5 grandpas, how about this? Kam thought for a while and suggested, then World injured our celestial dragons first, I will represent the celestial dragons to send troops to Dao Fa World. When Straw Hat Luffy appears, I will kill him with thunderous means. Afterwards, we only need to claim that Straw Hat Luffy offended me in the process of encircling and suppressing World, and this will be reasonable. The 5 old men's expressions froze slightly, and they all thought this was a good idea. We have no problem with this matter, but. But what? Kam asked. However, a member of the clan has already taken over the matter of Dao Fa world. According to the regulations, you have to negotiate with him. Who? Soon. What? 5 elders, you want to hand over the revenge to Kam. Lucky's eyes widened like a husky's, indicating that the 5 elders should not joke with him. As we all know, although Kam is a direct descendant, he is a waste who can't use swords, guns, or hockey, and he is also a fool who spent trillions of belly to buy a kingdom. Letting this kind of person Dao Fa world is ridiculous. Lucky. Kam stared at the celestial dragon man in front of him, and a sense of disgust arose in his body instinctively. The original owner's death was strange. It was likely due to a power struggle within the family. And Clockrade Lucky was one of the contenders. Although he was only a collateral, he was one of the few with normal intelligence and could use two-color hockey. He was a little famous within the family. Lucky noticed Kam's gaze and shouted violently, "You dare to glare at me? Damn it." Hearing this, Kam was immediately angry. "You scolded me for being a waste. I didn't say anything. Because the original owner was really a waste, only 3 minutes and 01 seconds. But you're still pushing your luck. Ha!" Kam slapped him directly, and the sound of the slap echoed in the huge meeting room. It was so loud. You dare to hit me." Lucky was stunned for a full 3 seconds before realizing that he had been hit. Can this be tolerated? Lucky pointed at Kam and was about to roar. Click. Kam took a step forward and directly broke Lucky's finger. You? I'm a direct descendant, you're a collateral. How dare you call yourself in front of me? Believe it or not, I'll kill you. Kam scolded directly, not tolerating him at all. If he wasn't afraid of paying a lot of money, he would have really killed him. Different celestial dragons have different statuses. For example, Kam can call the 5 elders grandpas, but Lucky can only call them Da Ren. Different statuses have different punishments. For example, if Kam really killed Lucky, he would only have to pay a lot of money. But if Kam killed a direct descendant of another family, such as Charlos, he would have to pay with his life. Lucky immediately flinched. Kam was rich and powerful, and if he really killed himself, it would be terrible. He thought about it and simply ignored Kam, and asked the 5 old men directly, "Please don't joke, 5 elders. I wonder what you called me here for." "Lucky, we're not joking." The 5 old men said with a serious face, "We think Kam should also have a chance to train. So we hope you will give this opportunity to Kam." What? Lucky's eyes widened, still a little unable to believe it. At first, he only thought it was a joke from the 5 elders, but the 5 elders brought it up again. This is obviously true. No, I don't agree. Lucky shook his head and refused. If a collateral celestial dragon wants to go further in status, or even gain power, the best way is to make meritorious service. Dao Fa world is almost a free credit, how could he, Lucky, easily let it go? The 5 elders' faces darkened. Calling you here is just to go through the motions. What do you mean you don't agree? Don't you understand human relationships? Kam was suddenly stunned, grabbing Lucky's collar and roaring, "Who did you just say can't do it?" These days, Kam is quite sensitive to the word, can't do it. Say the word, can't do it, again. Chapter 10. Hardworking Yellow Monkey. You say one more time that it won't work. Kamu picked up Lucky, slapping him repeatedly. "No, stop hitting me." Lucky was truly dumbfounded. Even if he himself wasn't capable, since the 5 elders had spoken, then even if it was impossible, it had to be possible. You, Kamu, are so rich, couldn't you give a little money as a token of appreciation? Don't you understand social graces? There was also one thing Lucky couldn't understand, why was Kamu so powerful? Wasn't he unable to use hockey? Kamu, don't be too arrogant. Lucky, whose head was beaten into a pig's head, squeezed out harsh words, pointing at Kamu and shouting, 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river, don't bully. Bang. Arrogant. I'm a celestial dragon, not being arrogant wouldn't befit a celestial dragon. Kamu directly punched Lucky's head. Good heavens. This almost created a protagonist template. Thankfully, he was clever enough to interrupt it. Kamu. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river, don't bully. Damn it. Was this never ending? Kamu grabbed Lucky's collar, sternly questioning, don't bully what? Don't bully what? He had already made up his mind. As long as this Lucky said the words a protagonist should say, he would spend money to have him killed. One Wang Lufei was already giving him a headache. If another one came, that would be terrible. Most importantly, his laughter was, Jia Jia. Don't bully. Don't bully young. Huh. Don't bully what? Don't bully. Lucky was about to cry. He had a premonition that after saying these words, his future achievements would be great. But he was also very sure that after saying these words, Kamu would definitely kill him. But if he kept his mouth shut, he would be slapped to death immediately. Don't bully, don't bully. Suddenly, Lucky had a flash of inspiration, and said with a forced smile, ah ha ha ha, I mean after being taught a lesson by Big Brother Kamu, I suddenly felt so good. That's right. What I mean is being beaten by Kamu is so comfortable. After saying this, Lucky even glanced at Kamu with a charming look. Ah. Kamu was dumbfounded at the time, what kind of brain circuit could explain it like this? However, don't bully, don't bully. Mochi mochi. It doesn't seem to be a problem. Kamu looked at Lucky's cowardly appearance again, and immediately dismissed the absurd idea that he was a protagonist template. But it's also strange. In the original plot, there shouldn't have been celestial dragons going to subjugate world, right? Kamu thought to himself, so he asked Lucky, I want to know, if you take over this mission, how will you survive on the battlefield with your strength? Go to the battlefield. Lucky was full of question marks. Why would I personally go to the battlefield? I'm a celestial dragon. My life is so precious, how could I possibly go to the battlefield myself? When he said this, Lucky looked proud. Although he was only a collateral member of the celestial dragons. But his life was equally precious. The world government had already summoned the Shichibukai, world would undoubtedly be defeated. Since this was the case, he would just put his name on it and take the credit. Why go to the battlefield? Ah, this. Kamu was also speechless, it was the first time he had seen someone say they were afraid of death in such a refreshing and refined way. But that's right, who isn't afraid of death? Kamu himself also, cherish life. Kamu paused and asked, let me ask you first, what do you think of my strength? Stronger than me, a little. Lucky said unwillingly. Then who do you think is stronger, me or world? World. Lucky said without hesitation. Since this is the case, how about you make a bet with me? Kamu said with a smile. I will personally go to the battlefield to subjugate world this time. Let's bet on whether I can arrest him. As for the prize, it's 1 billion belly. Lucky. There was such a good thing. Comma comma. Comma comma. Recalling Lucky's silly and foolish appearance thinking he would definitely die, Kamu breathed a sigh of relief. Although this fool is likely not the murderer who killed the original owner. But that hateful emotion is real. He, Kamu, is also optimistic, being able to scam a little is a little. He had just spent hundreds of billions to buy a country, and he was indeed a little tight on money. As for world, how strong could someone who could be defeated by Wang Lufei's second gear be? Kamu, although your mission is not really to subjugate world, I think what Lucky said is also correct. With your strength. At this time, the 5 elders, who had not spoken the entire time, shook their heads. Huh. Kamu frowned and asked, could it be that 5 elders' grandpas also think that I am not world's opponent? You should know my strength, right? His 2-color hockey is now very powerful. Both have reached the beginner level. And armament hockey is stronger than the average beginner. The current Wang Lufei is a rookie who can't even use hockey proficiently. He can defeat world. Of course, he can do it too. Even if Wang Lufei has the protagonist halo, he still has the system. Haha, of course, we know. Satan patted Kamu on the shoulder and said with a smile, that world guy has been frozen for so many years, I guess his bones are frozen, how could he be wise grandson Kamu's opponent? That's right. Kamu said hello and left. It wasn't until long after Kamu left that the 5 elders' expressions became serious. Old 5, is it really okay to deceive him like this? Even we would have a hard time facing world. Satan sighed. Alas, since Kamu fainted and woke up, the whole person has become diligent and hardworking. He has only recently learned 2-color hockey, I don't want to discourage him. But, the other 4 old men's hearts tightened. Don't worry, we can stuff a Navy admiral over there at that time, and just say that we are really worried. If he doesn't agree, we won't let him send troops. That's okay too. But which admiral should we stuff? How about Isho? That newcomer is not bad. No. He's blind, what if he doesn't keep an eye on Kamu? How about Aramaki? If you ask me, it has to be Borsellino, although he's a bit of a slacker, he's strong. Anyway, it must be a strong, solid, reliable, and conscientious person. That's right. And it's best to be someone who has dealt with Straw Hat Kid and can quickly kill Straw Hat. Comma. As a result, under the arrangement of the 5 elders, Kamu led 10 Navy fleets and several Navy vice admirals to subjugate Bondi world together. And the 5 elders, under the pretext of worrying about Kamu's safety, specially transferred a Navy admiral to escort him. The next morning, on the main warship. Why is it you? Kamu looked blankly at the wretched old man beside him, his face full of hopelessness. When did solid, reliable, and conscientious describe Kizaru? And let the second uncle kill his nephew. This is not outrageous. His mother opened the door to outrageous to the extreme. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 11. First Meeting with the Pirate Empress. Ko wa inai. Kizaru cast an enchanting glance at Kam, saying, Lord Kam, I'm just a little lecherous in appearance, surely it doesn't bother you that much, does it? Kizaru. Kam rubbed his head and ordered, this mission is to eliminate the pirate world. But if anyone attacks me along the way, you have a duty to kill the attacker. That is natural. Kizaru nodded. It is rumored that Kizaru is a Dragon Life Army spy, but there is no actual evidence. And this time, the 5 elders didn't reveal the true target to Kizaru. This is a good opportunity to confirm whether Kizaru really has a problem. Kam thought to himself, feeling a little better. At this moment, not far from Ship Island, on the deck of a beautiful ship. It's just ahead. Pirate Empress spread out her palm, on which was a small piece of life paper, indicating that her second sister and third sister were not far away. Damn it, return them to me immediately. Luffy roared to the sky, if they're not here, who will bring me food? Great, the Pirate Empress has indeed come. At this moment, inside the control room of Ship Island, World was monitoring everything around him through a hidden surveillance phone bug. As long as I use the Shichibukai who accepted the summons as a cover, I can smoothly enter the Marineford waters. Once I get there, I can bombard Mary Geoise. World burst into mad laughter, vowing to overthrow the entire world. Wait, who is that guy? World's smug expression froze, his eyes falling on the edge of the surveillance screen. Oh, that one. Bin Jack said without thinking, it's Buggy the Clown, the newly appointed Shichibukai. But he doesn't have any noteworthy achievements, so he shouldn't be a concern. As the brains of the world pirates, Bin Jack was relatively rational and not blinded by Buggy's resume. Not that Red knows. World took a step forward, pointing his index finger at the edge of another surveillance screen. Many Marines are surrounding him. That is. Bin Jack looked in the direction World was pointing, his pupils constricting, celestial dragon. At this moment, Kam had already led the Navy to the waters outside Ship Island, closely monitoring every move on the sea. Report. Soon, a Marine rushed over to report. What's the matter? Kam asked. Esteemed Saint Crocrade Kam. The Marine gave a respectful salute, then excitedly pointed in one direction. Our reinforcements have arrived, it's the Shichibukai. Shichibukai. Kam immediately perked up, looking in the direction the Marine was pointing. Ah, Buggy the Clown. Rumble. At this moment, a huge cannon fire came from the other side. A red sailing ship with a double snake head appeared in sight on the sea not far away. More reinforcements, it's the Pirate Empress. Many Marines cheered, recognizing the flag of the Kuja pirates. Unlike the average Shichibukai, Pirate Empress Boa Hancock also had the title of the world's most beautiful woman, and most men simply had no resistance. Marrow. Hancock put her hands together, making a heart shape, and several heart-shaped objects petrified all the enemies. Hancock, so amazing. Luffy was stunned, realizing that he couldn't see through Hancock's strength yet. Hancock. Luffy-kun said my name correctly. Pirate Empress covered her cheeks, her eyes sparkling. Ah, is this marriage? That's not it. Sa Po Po, who came with her, knocked her with a cane, Alright, Hancock. Hurry up and save your sisters. Roar. Her pet Salome stuck out its snake tongue, looking eager to try. Yes. Hancock nodded. Because she was anxious to save her second sister and third sister, she didn't deliberately leave Luffy a chance to perform. She directly charged into Ship Island with unstoppable force. As expected of the pirate empress who is praised as the world's most beautiful woman. On the watchtower, Cam held a telescope, his attention entirely on the pirate empress. Not only is she beautiful, but her strength is also top-notch. It's a pity. Cam sighed leisurely, not holding much hope of capturing the pirate empress. Not to mention that his time of transmigrating wasn't right. Hancock had already met Wang Luffy. Just the fact that Hancock was enslaved by their celestial dragon and branded with the dragon's hoof mark was a very difficult chasm to cross. No, no. As long as Wang Luffy is killed, as long as I am still a celestial dragon. Everything is possible. Cam immediately perked up in his heart, and after descending from the watchtower, he quickly ordered, now that the summoned Shichibukai have already entered, it's time for us to move out. Kizaru, you protect me. Kaji, Gion, and Squirrel. The three of you each lead a team of Marines and follow me to eliminate World. The remaining Marines stand by in place. We must not let Wang Lu, cough cough, we must not let World escape. Yes. Everyone gave a military salute. Only Kaji frowned, reminding, esteemed Saint Crocrade Cam, World's strength is extremely strong. He is a man who once made the world government and the navy fear, along with Roger and Whitebeard. We have no problem dealing with World, but, Kaji said hesitantly, but, your safety may not be guaranteed. Cam glared at Kaji and snorted coldly, a mere World is not worth mentioning. What a joke. How strong could a pirate who could be defeated by Wang Luffy's second gear be? He, Cam, really didn't take World seriously. Moreover, the five elders had told him that World's bones were frozen and he was not his opponent at all. Some of the accompanying high-ranking Marine generals exchanged glances, and had to nod in agreement. Not long after, Cam led the Marines into Ship Island, and under Cam's orders, the Marines acted separately. At most, Kizaru is just a second uncle. As long as the Marines are separated, Kizaru can be prevented from acting. And if other Marines encounter Wang Luffy, and Kizaru suddenly appears to save Luffy, it will also explain Kizaru's problem. Cam nodded secretly, feeling that he was one step closer to the days when he could be a celestial dragon in peace. I don't know if that celestial dragon is bold or really capable, but he actually dares to act alone. Don't worry, even if we can't eliminate World, we must ensure the safety of Saint Crocrade Cam. Understood. Quote, quote. At the same time, several Marine generals, including Kizaru, maintained contact with the phone bug at all times while guarding their surroundings. It is worth mentioning, the group of Marines, including Kizaru, did not completely act separately according to the plan. Instead, they were distributed around Cam in a radial pattern. In order to be able to respond at any time if Cam encounters any danger. Chapter 12. Cam and Luffy's first fight. Aiya, that celestial dragon is truly detestable. He's even splitting up to act, is he not putting me, World, in his eyes? Inside the control room of Ship Island, World was so angry that he howled, feeling that he had been offended. He was, after all, a man once on par with Roger and Whitebeard. Why did he feel like the other party was treating him like a nobody? As expected, the celestial dragons are as arrogant as ever. World cursed in his heart. World, let's just give up on this operation. Bin Jack, standing to the side, looked at World with a face full of worry, not holding much hope for this operation. He pointed to the most wretched-looking Kizaru on the monitor screen. Not only has the pirate empress, a Shichibukai, come, but he's even attracted a Navy admiral. Navy Admiral. World immediately perked up. He asked disdainfully, so what if it's a Navy Admiral? Could he be stronger than a younger Garp and Sengoku? This. Bin Jack's expression immediately became troubled. In short, Bin Jack took a deep breath and advised, even if you can stop one admiral, what about the other Shichibukai? We don't have the strength of our younger days. Don't worry, do you still remember what Nakan discovered on those two prisoners? World patted his chest and smiled confidently, if I'm not mistaken. That so-called pirate empress was likely once a slave of the celestial dragons. That way, we can eliminate one Shichibukai. Bin Jack's eyes darted around, and he tentatively asked, World, do you mean to pull the Pirate Empress over to deal with the celestial dragons together with us? If we really could. No, that's not right. Bin Jack was just about to say that this was a good idea, but he immediately dismissed the thought. The Pirate Empress is different from other Shichibukai. She also has Amazon Lily behind her. Bin Jack shook his head and said, if she betrayed the world government, her country would suffer war. It's impossible for her to use her entire country to help us deal with the celestial dragons, otherwise she wouldn't be willing to become a Shichibukai. Don't worry. World waved his hand and laughed loudly. The best case scenario is of course that she can deal with the celestial dragons with us. Even if she doesn't cooperate with us, it doesn't matter, as long as she doesn't join the battle. The Navy forces that have entered now are indeed strong, but they are just like this now, throwing a rat for fear of breaking the vases. World pointed to the Navy surrounding Cam on the monitor screen, and finally focused his gaze on Cam. As long as we can capture that celestial dragon as a hostage, those Navy forces will be nothing to worry about. Moreover, compared to the Shichibukai who are summoned, the celestial dragon is obviously more valuable. At that time, Gahahaha. World burst into mad laughter, his mind filled with the idea of bombarding Mary Geoise. Alright, World. Bin Jack nodded, knowing that World was determined to bombard Mary Geoise. That's right. I haven't asked all this time. World zoomed in on the monitor screen and pointed to a shadow that was scurrying around like a monkey. Who is that man who has been following the Pirate Empress? I also feel like I've seen the straw hat on his head somewhere. Ah, him. He's from the Straw Hat crew. Bin Jack smiled and told World the detailed information about Luffy. Ha ha ha, so he's Garp's grandson, and he's even beaten up a celestial dragon. World narrowed his eyes, his gaze falling on the Straw Hat crew and the Pirate Empress, and a good idea suddenly arose in his heart. Kama. Gurosidi, which is Ship Island. At this moment, inside Ship Island. Shua. Two figures were flying through the corridor, making bursts of air-piercing sounds. Second sister, third sister. Sandersonia, Marigold. The Pirate Empress and Luffy stopped and started, searching for the shadows of their two younger sisters in Ship Island. Damn it, this place is like a maze. The Pirate Empress gritted her silver teeth, very worried about the safety of her two younger sisters. Suddenly, Luffy's figure stopped abruptly. Luffy, what's wrong? Seeing Luffy suddenly stop, Hancock stopped and asked in surprise. I don't know. Luffy scratched his head, showing a look of surprise and said, I just feel that there is a person I hate nearby. I must go and beat him up. As Luffy said this, he directly left Hancock behind and swept away in another direction. Hancock anxiously said, but Sandersonia and them. Before she could say that the main thing was important, Luffy's shadow was already gone. Sigh. Hancock shook her head and sighed. Worried about Luffy's safety, she chased after him. Straw Hat Kid. Wong Luffy. At this time, Cam was also stopping and going, looking for Luffy's shadow in Ship Island. It's just that. World's Ship Island is very big, worthy of the island in its name. Cam wandered around for half an hour without seeing Luffy's shadow. Chow, Wong Luffy, come out quickly. Cam was very anxious. He now remembered that Luffy seemed to have completely mastered the elementary two-color hockey after becoming World's teacher. That is to say, he is now a little stronger than him, and it is a good time to kill him. Cam would not talk about what is right or wrong. He is not Ultraman, and world peace has nothing to do with him. He just wants to save his life and then continue to be a celestial dragon safely. Shua. A sharp sound of breaking wind came, and a figure flew towards Cam like a cannonball. Luffy held the straw hat on his head with one hand and raised a fist as big as a sandbag with the other. I am Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will become the Pirate King. Dang. Sooner said than done. Only a dull loud noise was heard, and Cam took Luffy's fist head on. Luffy's expression changed, and he found that the person in front of him was a bit strong. Here it comes. Cam suddenly became excited, as if the Prime Minister had seen someone else's lovely wife. You are a celestial dragon. Luffy narrowed his eyes and recognized Cam's identity. Even if Cam was not wearing the exclusive clothes of the celestial dragon at this moment. No wonder it makes me feel hated, it turns out to be a celestial dragon. Luffy glared at Cam, and when he thought of the scene where the celestial dragon wanted to buy Kaimi and injured little Hachi, a burst of anger surged. Gum gum. Gatling. Luffy waved his fists, and countless fist shadows were like a torrential rain. Come on over. Although he didn't know how Luffy recognized him, or why he wanted to attack him, it was exactly what he wanted. Step. Cam stomped hard on the soles of his feet, and his figure dodged the dense fist shadows like fallen leaves in the autumn wind, and moved lightly in front of Luffy. Chapter 13. Could it be that I have become a teacher? What? Quote. Luffy's eyes widened, discovering that the celestial dragon's observation haki was stronger than his own. Die. Quote. Cam Saint gathered armament haki into his fists, slamming his sandbag-like fist heavily towards Luffy's head. Not good. Quote. Luffy's expression constantly changed, his arms slightly bent, wanting to block Cam Saint's punch. Rumble. Quote. Fist and arm collided, the shockwave formed by the impact was like a flood, forming a brief shockwave vortex at the center of the collision. Go to hell. Quote. As soon as he said that, it was too late. Cam Saint roared, pushing his rudimentary armament haki to the extreme, while simultaneously unleashing immense force. Rumble. Another loud noise came. Cam Saint's armament haki-covered fist broke through Luffy's arms like a hot knife through butter, directly hitting Luffy's head. It hurts. Quote. Luffy cried out in pain, truly not expecting that this celestial dragon would actually possess armament haki, and even stronger than his own. But why? His haki was clearly taught by Rayleigh. Die. Quote. Before Luffy could react, Cam Saint swung another heavy punch. At that time, Luffy could use haki, but he was not proficient. Cam Saint's posture towards Luffy was as crushing as he had expected. With a loud bang, Luffy's entire body flew out, denting into the surrounding walls. It hurts so much. Quote. Luffy painfully clutched his head, feeling as if his head was about to explode, feeling like he had been beaten by his own grandfather. This will be the grand finale. Quote. Cam Saint looked extremely excited, discovering that he had somewhat overestimated Luffy's combat power. Tap tap. Quote. Cam Saint took 3 steps as 2, wanting to finish off Luffy as soon as possible. It's just that Luffy, as a Zone Devil Fruit ability user, was really resistant to beatings. Cam Saint forcibly swung 3 more punches before completely knocking Luffy down. Damn it. Quote. Luffy roared unwillingly, a trace of gold flashing in his eyes. At the same time, he suddenly recalled the scene when the celestial dragon wanted to buy Kaimi and also injured Hachi in the Shambles Islands. No, I can't yet. With a bang, Cam Saint punched Luffy away again, interrupting his roar. No, I haven't lost yet. Quote. Luffy staggered to his feet, his vitality abnormally tenacious. This. The corners of Cam Saint's mouth twitched constantly, discovering that this situation was all too familiar. Isn't this just Luffy's sit-up technique? I won't let you do sit-ups. Quote. Cam Saint roared in a low voice, expressing his determination not to follow in Teacher Kai's footsteps. Boom boom. Another loud noise came. Cam Saint knocked Luffy down with one punch, the impact causing the entire ground of the ship island to tremble. What happened? Quote. At the same time, a group of Marine General, including Admiral Kizaru, heard the commotion at the center. Shish. Quote. Kaji, Gion, and Squirrel, Marine General from various places, signaled the surrounding Marine to be quiet, so that they could carefully listen with their observation haki. Not good, it seems that Korakuredo Kamu was attacked. Quote. Several Marine General exclaimed in shock, immediately becoming vigilant. Although their mission was to subjugate world, subjugating anyone was not as important as the safety of the celestial dragon Cam Saint. Admiral Kizaru. Quote. Kaji hurriedly said, your speed is the fastest, quickly go to the celestial dragon's side. Quote. Strange. At this moment, Admiral Kizaru was slowly fiddling with the phone bug, not knowing how to answer the phone bug for a moment. Damn it. I forgot that old man is a technical idiot. Quote. Kaji slapped his forehead, only then remembering that Kizaru was not very good at using the phone bug. What to do now? Quote. Damn it, this place is like a maze. Quote. At this time, inside the ship island control room. This is the Straw Hat Kid whose strength you said should not be underestimated. Quote. World's expression was very strange, feeling like he had been deceived. It shouldn't be. Straw Hat Kid was quite outstanding during the top war. Bin Jack on the side felt as uncomfortable as if he had eaten shit, not understanding why Straw Hat Kid would be pressed to the ground and hammered by the Celestial Dragon. His and World's plan was to let Straw Hat Kid and the Celestial Dragon have a conflict, so that the Pirate Empress who came with him would have to take sides. The reason why Straw Hat Kid was able to meet Cam Saint in the maze was because they were secretly manipulating it. Quote. Bin Jack's expression slightly stagnated, noticing the Straw Hat Kid who was standing up again on the monitoring screen. Bin Jack exclaimed, "That's not right. Look quickly." He stood up again. Quote. "This kid's will is strong." Quote. World nodded appreciatively. "If I didn't already know that he was a rubber fruit ability user, I would have been afraid that he was some kind of zone fruit ability user." Quote. Zone ability users have a significant characteristic. That is, they are resistant to beatings and have thick blood. In World's perception, or rather, in the perception of most people in this world, they would not associate the Paramesha rubber fruit with the mythical zone human fruit. At this time, what's going on? What exactly is going on? Quote. Cam Saint stared blankly at Luffy, who was constantly doing sit-ups, his expression constantly changing. He could still suppress Luffy with his majestic haki, but he was horrified to find that Luffy's strength was getting stronger and stronger. Could it be that I have become Teacher Kai? Quote. The moment this thought popped up in Cam Saint's mind, he immediately denied it himself. The strengthening of Luffy's strength was not like that of haki, but a strange enhancement of basic strength. No matter what kind of monster you are, die. Quote. Cam Saint roared, the power from his whole body burst out, and a thick armament haki covered his right fist. Clang! A loud muffled sound came, and Luffy's entire body lost its movement like a kite with a broken string. Could it be that he really died? Quote. Cam Saint blinked his eyes, feeling a sense of unreality. Whether he is dead or not, I have to finish him off. Quote. Cam Saint didn't dare to be careless and continued to output towards Luffy. He split Luffy's entire watermelon, and still feeling uneasy, he forcibly turned Luffy's neck 3,600 degrees. Still feeling uneasy, he forcibly cut off Luffy's head, separating the head from the body. He. This is really the grand finale. Quote. Cam Saint burst into laughter, still feeling uneasy. He was thinking about finding a big knife to cut Luffy into pieces, shaking the nearby eggs, and cutting the nearby earthworms in half vertically when the next moment, like a bubble, it shatters with a touch. An unbelievable thing happened, and the corpse of Wang Luffy actually surged with a golden light, followed by the head that should have been separated. Dwang, it was restored. Just like water droplets approaching each other, merging into a larger water droplet, so smooth. Hey, this Nima is fake, right? Quote. Cam Saint was dumbfounded, he even doubted whether he was dreaming. Crack. Quote. Cam Saint only heard the sound of glass shattering, and his eyes suddenly became clear. Within his vision, the real Luffy was doing sit-ups and getting up again. Ha. Quote. Luffy glared at Cam Saint with a fierce look, his pupils flickering with golden light imperceptibly. He laughed loudly and said, "How could I die before I beat you up?" Quote. Chapter 14. Weird, Luffy's strength surges. Illusion. Cam Saint was thoughtful, but felt something was wrong. Boom. Before he could think about it, Luffy's fist slammed towards him. Cam Saint couldn't care less and threw a punch as well. No matter what it is, I don't believe I can't kill you. Rumble. There was a loud bang, but this time, Luffy didn't fall to the ground with one punch as before, but staggered and took 3 punches in a row before crashing down. Cam Saint exclaimed, "What's going on?" It was unknown whether Cam Saint had become weaker, or Wang Luffy had found a new teacher. The turning point began from this moment. Boom. Luffy took the 4th punch, the 6th punch, the 8th punch. After taking an unknown number of punches, he gradually became equal to Cam Saint, and in the end, he even faintly gained the upper hand. Luffy waved his fists. Rubber Gatling. What the hell is going on? Cam Saint no longer had the posture of instantly killing people as before, and with both hands blocking in front of his chest, he could only defend passively. Ha. I told you I would beat you up. Luffy laughed loudly, not knowing why he was laughing. The gold color in his pupils flickered almost imperceptibly, and his rubber fists poured down like a rainstorm. No, no, this won't work. Cam Saint's expression kept changing, and he realized that if this continued, the offense and defense would be completely reversed. Hey! Suddenly, a violent shout came from a distance. Don't think that just because your grandfather is Garp, you can be rampant. A wretched old man, slightly inferior to Kizaru, came running wildly from a distance. It was Kaji. Shoo shoo. Two rapid sounds of air being torn apart rang out, and Gion and Squirrel appeared in the field of vision one after another. Great. Cam Saint's confidence increased greatly, knowing that his reinforcements had arrived. Kua Ine. The next second, Kizaru also arrived here, stepping on the light. Quick, kill him, he dared to attack me, a celestial dragon. Cam Saint quickly issued an order, fearing that Kizaru's appearance would cause some accident. Garp's grandson. Gion and Squirrel were obviously stunned for a moment before realizing that the Straw Hat Kid was fighting Cam Saint, the celestial dragon. Not good. Luffy's face changed drastically, he really didn't expect so many Navy to come at once. Clang! A muffled sound rang out, and the bodies of the three Marine who were fighting fiercely with Luffy suddenly stiffened. What's going on? Kaji, Gion, and Squirrel's expressions changed, and they were stunned to find that Luffy's strength had become much stronger. Luffy was a connected person, they would not use their full strength to kill Luffy on the spot, but it was no problem to capture him alive and throw him into Impel Down. What? Cam Saint opened his mouth wide, not understanding why two admiral candidates and a Marine Vice Admiral headquarters could not take down Luffy. Shoo shoo shoo. Harsh bursts of sound suddenly rang out, and several beams of laser flashed past, shooting towards Luffy's direction without mercy. Rumble. The power of the laser was extremely great, and Luffy was blown away in an instant. The power of the laser was extremely great, and the Marine who were fighting fiercely with Luffy also suffered along with Luffy. Hey, Borsalino. Don't accidentally injure your teammates. Kaji got up, turned his head and cursed loudly, feeling that Kizaru's accuracy was really too bad. Sorry. Kizaru slowly apologized a few times, saying that he would definitely do it next time. This Kizaru. Cam Saint turned his head and glanced at Kizaru, always feeling that he was doing it on purpose, but fortunately, that attack just now did hit Luffy. The movement just now. Inside Ship Island, some distance away from the main battlefield, Hancock suddenly stopped. She closed her eyes slightly, then suddenly opened them again. Not good, Luffy is in danger. Hancock's face was full of horror, and she ran towards the direction of the movement. What's going on? How did Straw Hat Kid's strength suddenly become so strong? Inside the monitoring room, World and Bin Jack stared wide-eyed, shocked by the strength of Straw Hat Kid. Just now, he was being beaten by a celestial dragon, but now, he was not directly killed in a 3-on-1 fight. Hiss, that look. World's pupils shrank, and in his observation hockey vision, Luffy's whole body was filled with a baleful aura that even he was extremely afraid of. World asked. I forgot to ask, what type of devil fruit is that Straw Hat Kid? Is it a zone type? No. Bin Jack shook his head and said, Straw Hat Kid is a rubber man who ate the rubber fruit. The rubber fruit is a Paramesha type. Paramesha type. World felt puzzled. What's wrong? Bin Jack asked. His appearance is a bit like the appearance of a zone-type devil fruit awakening failure. In World's cognition, zone-type fruit awakening can greatly increase combat power, but it is also easy to lose personality, leaving only animal instincts. The jailer beasts in Impel Down are fruit power users who have failed to awaken, while Paramesha type awakening will not be like this. Awakening failure. Bin Jack shook his head with a smile. Impossible. Not to mention that Straw Hat Kid's rubber fruit is a Paramesha type, not to mention that he hasn't lost his personality at all. Could it be that the rubber fruit can suddenly become a zone type? This. World twisted his forehead, and found that the Straw Hat Kid in the picture could speak normally, without the slightest appearance of losing his personality. But what was going on with this sudden surge in strength? He couldn't figure it out, he really couldn't figure it out. Forget it. Never mind this. World twisted his forehead in a headache, and glanced at the Pirate Empress on the monitoring screen who was rushing to the battlefield. It's almost time for me to take the stage. Clang clang clang. The sound of metal clashing was incessant, and the battle with Luffy was going on fiercely. In order to avoid any problems, Cam Saint first ordered Kizaru to be strictly prohibited from taking action, but it was unbelievable that Kaji, Gion, and Squirrel joined forces and failed to take down Luffy. What's going on? What's going on? Cam Saint's face was livid, and he found that Luffy's strength had indeed become much stronger. Not to mention the Vice Admiral Squirrel who was just making up the numbers. Kaji and Gion were genuine admiral candidates. The two of them joining forces shouldn't be unable to take down Luffy. But, why was this? Could it be that the admiral candidates were not as strong as he imagined? Esteemed Saint Crocrade Cam. Kizaru on the side applied to fight, saying that he wanted to personally capture the Straw Hat crew and report back to the Roswald family. This. Cam Saint looked at the three Kaji who were struggling in the battle, and then looked at Kizaru's wretched appearance. Kizaru, be sure to take down Straw Hat Kid. Cam Saint solemnly said to Kizaru, and then shouted to the three who were fighting fiercely. You three, come back and protect me. Cam Saint felt that it might be possible to let Kizaru deal with Luffy in this situation. Anyway, the three of them couldn't take down Luffy for a while. He couldn't figure out the specific strength of the admiral candidates, but he could be sure that Kizaru would definitely have no problem dealing with the current Luffy. Letting Kizaru fight Luffy alone could also see if Kizaru was Wang Luffy's second uncle. And now this Luffy, he always felt weird. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 15 Kizaru is an old actor. Good. Kaji, Gion, and Squirrel nodded and withdrew from the battlefield. They didn't understand why Luffy's strength had become so much stronger, but he could not possibly be Admiral Kizaru's opponent. It's you. Luffy looked at Kizaru in front of him in horror, remembering the scene where he had kicked his companions one by one. Garp's grandson, Dragon's son. Admiral Kizaru smiled. How scary. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the battle was about to break out, and explosions rose one after another. It hurts. It hurts so much. Luffy burst out with a pig-slaughtering scream, completely not Admiral Kizaru's opponent. Go, Admiral Kizaru. The grassroots Marines rushed over one after another, clapping their hands and cheering from the sidelines, feeling that Admiral Kizaru would soon be able to capture Straw Hat Kid. Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. Lord Cam's face was solemn, and he discovered the problem. Although he called out miserably, Luffy just didn't die. Could it be that Admiral Kizaru really has a problem? Also, he always felt that the current Luffy was weird. Rumble. Ahu. Cough cough. After several collisions, Luffy still didn't die. Luffy coughed and sat up again. I'm going to beat you up. At this moment, Luffy had a strange feeling that he might not lose even if he faced a Navy admiral now. He also inexplicably had an obsession in his heart, an obsession to beat up the celestial dragon no matter what. He felt a hint of confusion in his heart about this obsession. That's right, he's the accomplice who wants to buy Kaimi. So, I must beat him up. Thinking of this, Luffy was no longer confused and waved his fists. Gum gum Gatling. Luffy shouted loudly, and countless fist shadows, accompanied by a strange power, roared towards Admiral Kizaru. Kawaii ne. Admiral Kizaru had a lewd smile on his face, but there was a hint of bitterness in the smile. Straw Hat Kid, why do you have to come and die without strength? Admiral Kizaru spread his hands, and countless light spots slowly gathered in front of him. Rumble. Each light spot was filled with terrifying power. Ah. Act. Act. This old fart is really acting. Lord Cam stomped his feet in anger, discovering that Admiral Kizaru was an old actor. With Admiral Kizaru's strength and speed, shouldn't he be able to kill Wang Luffy in seconds? Why is he still slowly gathering strength here? Second uncle is confirmed, isn't he? Huh. Kaji noticed Lord Cam's somewhat unnatural expression and asked, Lord Cam Saint, are you worried that Admiral Kizaru can't beat Straw Hat Kid? Lord Cam curiously sized up Kaji and said truthfully, to be honest, Vice Admiral Kaji, I always feel that Admiral Kizaru is acting. Kaji was curious. Oh. What do you mean? I don't quite understand the battle. But I only have one question, does Admiral Kizaru need to gather energy to fire lasers? Lord Cam raised his voice. Admiral Kizaru, a devil fruit user of the glint glint fruit, his speed is almost the fastest in this world, he can obviously kill Luffy directly. Why does he still have to gather energy slowly here? Is my second uncle confirmed? Ah, this. The Marines behind him pricked up their ears and felt that what Lord Kam said made some sense. They usually don't see Navy Admiral Kizaru needing to gather energy to fire lasers, they are all directly fired in seconds. Ah, this. Kaji, Gion, and Squirrel twitched their mouths when they heard this. Luffy's strength has become so much stronger, of course it's not strange for Admiral Kizaru to gather energy to fire lasers. Lord Kam started a rhythm and said again, in addition, it's not necessary to gather energy to deal with trash like Straw Hat Kid, right? Straw Hat Kid is not even proficient in using haki. Ah, this. A group of grassroots Marines nodded secretly, feeling that what this celestial dragon, Lord Kam, said made a lot of sense. With Admiral Kizaru's strength, shouldn't it be one kick for a kid who doesn't even know haki? It is indeed a bit strange. Kaji, Gion, and Squirrel had ugly faces and couldn't understand why Luffy's growth rate was so fast. At this moment, the battle continues. Rumble. Admiral Kizaru's energy gathering time is not long, but Wang Luffy can always interrupt the key moments of each energy gathering. Therefore, Admiral Kizaru could not take down Wang Luffy for a while, and the battle that should have been a wave became a melee. Admiral Kizaru really has a problem. Lord Kam was very sure in his heart. Admiral Kizaru, a long-range mage, is fighting in close combat with people, it would be strange if there was no problem. If Lord Kam wasn't afraid that Admiral Kizaru would jump over the wall in desperation, he would have executed this actor on the spot according to military law. Rumble. The scene became more and more intense, and the deafening roar kept ringing. Au! Wang Luffy was beaten so badly that he frequently burst out with pig-slaughtering screams, but he just couldn't die. Kizaru. Lord Kam almost subconsciously shouted, "Stop acting." Hearing Lord Kam's shout, Admiral Kizaru was obviously stunned for a moment. Straw Hat Kid. Immediately, he came back to his senses, put away his lewd smile, and his eyes suddenly became cold. Last time you escaped, this time I can finally report to the Roswald family. Rumble. Admiral Kizaru crossed his hands, and countless terrifying lasers solidified behind him. Yasukani no Magatama. Admiral Kizaru shouted violently, and the lasers behind him shot towards Luffy like raindrops without any flaws. Not good. Seeing this scene, Lord Kam was surprised instead of happy, and his heart was in his throat. According to the usual routine, Admiral Kizaru is using a big move. He must have timed it well and found a good scapegoat. Lord Kam immediately ordered, Kaji, Gion, guard the intersection. No one is allowed to come in. Yes. Kaji and the two made a military salute and immediately flashed away. Who else can save Wang Luffy? Isn't there just Pirate Empress? As long as she can be stopped, Luffy will surely die. And if Admiral Kizaru hasn't killed Luffy at this time or deliberately let him run away, even ordinary Marines will not be able to stand it. Combining what I just said, they can easily think that Admiral Kizaru has a problem. Luffy. Sure enough, a graceful figure appeared at the right intersection in the next moment. It was the Pirate Empress who came late, Boa Hancock. She wanted to come in by virtue of her Shichibukai status, but Lord Kam gave the order that no one could come in. She wanted to force her way in, but her opponent was Gion, a genuine admiral candidate, and she couldn't break in for a while. Jia Jia Jia. Gala Luffy, this is the direct ending. Lord Kam jumped up excitedly, feeling that as long as Wang Luffy died, he could happily start his harem life. Although he has a cheat that can make him stronger by having children, he has no time to become stronger, so he must kill Wang Luffy as soon as possible. At the same time, Lord Kam also discovered that the killing move that Admiral Kizaru used on Luffy did not stop at all because Hancock was blocked, and the speed was even faster. It seems that the world has misunderstood Admiral Kizaru. Lord Kam breathed a sigh of relief, feeling that the rumor that Admiral Kizaru was Luffy's second uncle was false. Chapter 16. The Pirate Queen's first meeting with Kam. Not good. Luffy looked at the dense laser beams in front of him in horror, his heart beating violently. His pupils flickered with gold, but the gold quickly dimmed. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, a burst of laughter fell. Accompanied by a sharp pressure, a figure kicked Kizaru, who was rushing towards Luffy, away, and then flashed in front of Lord Kam. World laughed loudly and said, I didn't expect a celestial dragon to come to my door. This is more important than a Shichibukai. So fast. Lord Cam frowned, and found that the speed of the big man in front of him was extremely fast. In terms of speed alone, he was afraid that he would not be at a disadvantage against Kizaru. But Lord Cam knew the big man in front of him. He was the apparent target of his mission this time. World Destroyer, burn the world. But how could a booze who was defeated by Luffy's second gear have such strength? Wait. Before Lord Cam could think carefully, he suddenly froze, as if he realized something. Just now, Kizaru seemed to have been kicked away by World, which means. In between thoughts, Lord Cam's eyes swept past World in front of him, and looked at Wong Luffy, who was still alive and kicking not far away, and Kizaru, who was playing dead. Good, good. I was wondering why Kizaru suddenly stopped acting. It turns out that the person he was after was not the Pirate Empress. Lord Cam pressed his chest tightly, feeling that he had underestimated Kizaru's acting skills. Lord Cam Saint, be careful. Lord Cam Saint, be careful. World, you bastard, if you dare to hurt a celestial dragon, you will wish you were dead. At the same moment, Kaji, Gion, Squirrel, and all the sober Marines were gathering around Lord Cam. Burndy World was a man who, along with Roger and Whitebeard, made the world government and the Navy fear him. The Navy was quite afraid of World's strength. Celestial Dragon. The Pirate Empress, who came in, chest heaving violently, cast her hateful eyes on Lord Cam. As soon as she thought of the days of being enslaved, her back ached faintly. Ha 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 ha. World noticed the Pirate Empress's reaction, and he laughed and said, protecting this kind of scum. What are you Navy guys? After speaking, he took a step forward and said to the Pirate Empress with a hint of apology. Respectable Pirate Empress, I'm very sorry. I originally wanted to use you as a shield to enter the Marineford waters, so I captured your sister. But now, there is obviously a better target. As World said this, he shifted his gaze to Lord Cam. Oh. Hancock retracted her gaze and looked at World. What do you mean? Pirate Empress, I can feel a sense of hatred in you. World suggested with a smile. I hope you can join forces with me to deal with the Navy and that celestial dragon. World added. Don't worry, your two sisters are not only fine, but they are also eating and drinking well. This. Hancock frowned slightly. She was hesitating. On the way here, she had already heard about World's deeds from Sa Po Po. He was a powerful and crazy guy. If she really cooperated with him, she might really be able to kill this woman. Lord Cam felt a chill in his heart, and noticed a faint hint of killing intent. Just wait, when I kill Wong Luffy, I will snatch you away. World. You are wasting your efforts. Empress hates men like you the most. HMPH, you still want to instigate Empress to cooperate with you, what a daydream. Empress is our strong comrade. Before Hancock could reply, the Marines were all excited. Taking the Empress away from them was as unacceptable as robbing them of their wives. Of course, they also believed that the Pirate Empress would not cooperate with men. But Lord Cam, including the stronger Marines, did not think so. Boa Hancock. Gion pointed at Hancock and shouted in a stern voice, you are a Shichibukai, do you want to be stripped of your Shichibukai title if you attack a celestial dragon? Gion, didn't think that the men on the field could resist Hancock's beauty. Once Hancock really joined forces with World, they would be in trouble. This. Hancock frowned slightly. She was still hesitating. Hancock. At this moment, Luffy put Hancock behind him and said with a serious face, you are not allowed to participate in the war. You go save Sandersonia and the others. Luffy was not a pure blockhead. He knew very well that Hancock's identity as a Shichibukai was very important to Daughter Island. Very important. But Luffy. Hancock frowned. Will it be too dangerous for you alone? Luffy patted his chest confidently and said, don't worry, I am very strong. All right. Hancock nodded and said, Luffy, promise me, you must come back safely. After Hancock finished speaking, she didn't hesitate and went straight to the center of Ship Island. Pirate Empress. Your two sisters are in the leisure area on the island. When World saw this, not only did he not stop her, but he also told Hancock the location where her two sisters were resting, emphasizing that he had taken good care of the two women. Great. Seeing Hancock leave, Lord Cam breathed a sigh of relief. Of the two people who suddenly joined the battlefield, the most threatening to him must be Hancock. As an old pervert, he could never resist Hancock's beauty. As for World, how strong could a person who was defeated by Wong Luffy's second gear be? Squirrel, you quickly kill World. Lord Kam ordered. Kizaru, Kaji, and Gion, the three of you quickly go and solve Straw Hat Kid. There must be no mistakes. Ah, this. Squirrel's mouth twitched wildly, feeling that Lord Kam, this celestial dragon, thought too highly of himself. I am really being underestimated. World laughed loudly, then looked at Luffy who was ready to go. Is it okay to leave that celestial dragon to you? No problem. Luffy said confidently, then scratched his head and said timidly as he thought of something, but those other three Marines. Don't worry about it. World waved his hand, and then three figures appeared on this battlefield. Remnants of the World Pirates, Garam and Sebastian and Noct. World said, they are my subordinates. With them here, you can just deal with that celestial dragon. Okay. Luffy shouted in response, then charged towards Lord Kam. Straw Hat Kid. Kaji and the others wanted to stop him, but were blocked by Garam and the others. And so, Kizaru versus World, Kaji and the three versus Garam and the three, Luffy versus other grassroots Marines. Damn it, how could this be? Is World's strength that strong? Lord Kam, who was watching the battle from afar, had an extremely solemn expression, and was stunned to find that World was actually fighting Kizaru to a draw. Wasn't he a small fry defeated by Luffy's second gear? With a bang, Luffy quickly solved a group of grassroots Marines and landed in front of Lord Kam. Chapter 17 Question. Are you going to beat Shanks up too? Damn celestial dragon, I'm going to punch you flying. Luffy roared, his figure leaping towards Kam like a monkey. Wong Luffy, don't get cocky. Kam gritted his teeth and threw a heavy punch. Clang. With a muffled sound, the two figures each retreated dozens of steps. What's going on? What's going on? Kam's face kept changing. He was clearly suppressing Luffy not long ago, so why is he being suppressed now? This is just not normal. That side won't end for a while. Kam glanced at the distance. Besides Kizaru, Kaji, Gion, and Squirrel were also fighting fiercely. Bastard celestial dragon, I'm going to punch you flying. Luffy pounded his chest like a gorilla, golden light flashing in his pupils. Damn it, here it comes again. Kam's fist tightened again, feeling like he couldn't hold on much longer. The reason why he is so durable now is because Mancherry has healed his body. And the 30% of the heal fruit devil fruit ability he currently possesses is not very effective in this high-intensity battle. Unless Monkey D. Luffy. Kam glared at Luffy and questioned. This saint is following the world government's order to lead troops to attack World, why are you stopping me? As far as I know, weren't the two women who often sent you food captured by World? Shouldn't you be punching World flying? Kam tried to stall for time. That's right, why? Luffy raised his eyebrows, realizing that what Kam said made sense. Clearly today is the first time he has met Kam. Whoosh. The golden light in Luffy's pupils dimmed, and he lowered his head and muttered to himself. Let me think, at that time I felt there was a very annoying person nearby. His eyes. Kam's pupils shrank, noticing the difference in Luffy. I remember. Before Kam could think about it, Luffy suddenly raised his head. You are a bastard celestial dragon. You are the accomplice who wanted to buy Kaimi. You are the accomplice who injured Hachi. That was done by that idiot Charlos, what does it have to do with me? Kam was instantly unhappy, comparing himself to that idiot. Not to mention his own soul, even the original owner has never left Mary Geoise for so many years. Besides, shouldn't the real people who should be punched flying be the traffickers? What was that saying? No buying and selling, no harm. And Hancock's three sisters, you celestial dragon enslaved them. What does this have to do with me? How old was I then? In short, none of you celestial dragon are good people. Luffy swung his fist relentlessly and shouted. So, I'm going to punch you all flying. What about Shanks? Suddenly, Kam blurted out. You also want to punch Shanks flying. Shanks. This name was like a tranquilizer, causing the golden light in Luffy's pupils to fade for the most part. His aura was no longer as aggressive as before. He opened his mouth slightly and asked Kam, what do you mean? Shanks is also a celestial dragon. Kam didn't notice Luffy's change and shouted, do you also want to punch Shanks flying? What do you mean? Luffy suddenly became manic and roared. I'm asking you, what do you mean? Huh. At this moment, Cam finally noticed the subtle changes happening to Luffy. He pondered slightly and said, it's just the literal meaning. Your guide, Red Hair Shanks. He is the abandoned son of the Figureland family. He has the purest celestial dragon blood in his body. Moreover, in terms of seniority, I am even one generation older than him. He has to call me uncle. Cam wasn't talking nonsense. In terms of seniority alone, he is even older than some celestial dragon who have already been buried. But whether Shanks is willing to call him uncle is another matter. What? Luffy trembled all over, unable to believe this was true. Although his mind was a little dull, he could tell whether people were lying or not. Obviously, what Cam said was true. At this moment, the golden light flashing in Luffy's pupils completely disappeared, and his eyes were clearer than ever, but at the same time there was more confusion. Also, at this moment, Cam spoke again. He had already discovered that as long as he slandered the people Luffy cared about. No. What is called slander? This is the truth. As long as he told the truth, Luffy could regain his composure, and his soaring strength seemed to return to normal. Also, if we only talk about bloodlines. Cam said loudly, one of your companions is also a celestial dragon. What? Luffy's eyes widened like dumbbells, wishing he could stare Cam to death. Slander, this is definitely slander. He knows the details of his companions, and there can't be a celestial dragon he hates. You're talking nonsense. Luffy was immediately furious, raised his fist as big as a sandbag and smashed it towards Cam's head. Vivi. Cam hurriedly spoke, interrupting Luffy's spellcasting, and shouted sharply, Alabasta, Princess Vivi, don't tell me she's not your companion. Vivi. Luffy's body trembled violently, and his fist suddenly relaxed. Cam took advantage of the victory and continued, the Alabasta royal family are descendants of the 20 kings 800 years ago. Although their ancestors refused to move to the Holy Land and become celestial dragon, this does not change the fact that they are descendants of the 20 kings. After 800 years, in terms of bloodline alone, they are even the only pure bloodline of the king in this world. P.S. The king here means emperor. This is not Cam's nonsense. In the past 800 years, celestial dragon have been messing around with each other, and the bloodlines of the original 19 kings have long been mixed. The most obvious feature is that there are very few young celestial dragon with haki, conqueror's aptitude, and then there are a bunch of mentally retarded pig heads. Among the high-level celestial dragon, some enlightened people even hope that the Alabasta royal family will return to the Holy Land, or induce people from the Holy Land to combine with the Alabasta royal family, in order to revive the celestial dragon. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Luffy shook his head, indicating that this was absolutely impossible. Vivi is so kind, so gentle, and such a responsible princess. He, Luffy, can never put Vivi and the inhuman, evil celestial dragon together. But his intuition to recognize people tells Luffy that the celestial dragon in front of him is not lying. Consciousness and fact. Fact and partner. Partner and self. Are all fighting with a golden voice in my heart. No, even if Vivi really has that kind of bloodline, she will always be my partner. I can't. Luffy rolled around, clutching his head, struggling in pain. Ah, get out of here. But the next second, Luffy instantly regained his composure, and a great figure suddenly appeared in his heart. Whitebeard. Father's sins are repaid by the son, how ridiculous. That man once described his brother like this. Father's debts are repaid by the son, bloodlines are discussed. Ridiculous. How ridiculous. Chapter 18 Luffy's movie buff. To determine good and evil by bloodline, how laughable. Luffy pointed at Cam and roared, that's right. Even if Vivi really has that kind of bloodline, it doesn't mean she's the same as you pigs and dogs. Bloodline can't determine anything. Seeing Wang Lufei's righteous appearance, Cam was immediately filled with anger. Damn it. Vivi isn't, but I am. Do you have to be so biased? To be honest, I'm not even from this world. Even if I don't mention my intruding soul, just talking about the original owner, he has never left Mary Geoise due to various reasons. Cam stood up and roared at Luffy, then how am I supposed to be one? Rumble. As soon as these words came out, it was like a bolt from the blue. Luffy only felt that the world in front of him was shattering, and a strange thing was collapsing. The bloodline theory, how laughable. Since it's laughable, then why should I beat up this celestial dragon I've never seen before? Luffy couldn't figure it out. Really couldn't figure it out. He scratched his head and ears, wishing he could break his head off to take a look. But the next moment, he immediately regained his composure. I understand. I understand. Luffy calmed down for a while, and then went crazy like a madman. People will choose what they believe in. Since they didn't want to believe it from the beginning, then it's better to deny it completely from the beginning. You're lying to me. You must be lying to me. Vivi is not a celestial dragon. Shanks is not a celestial dragon either. Everything is because your deception is too clever. I can't see through it. Boom. Cam ignored Luffy's crazy talk, and took advantage of his madness and unpreparedness to directly punch Luffy away. Goodbye. Tada. Cam didn't take advantage of the victory to pursue, but ran out of Ship Island, his intuition telling him that he couldn't kill Luffy now. Ding equals detection complete. Luffy's invincible buff in the movie, the system suddenly reminded. Huh. Comma. Not long after. At a corner of a corridor. Cam collapsed on the spot, breathing heavily. After confirming that the surroundings were safe, Cam called out to the system. System, what did you just say about Luffy's invincible buff? Ding equals host, don't you know that Luffy can defeat even Roger as a booze in the movie version, special episode? Huh. 3 big question marks popped up in Cam's mind. He rubbed his head and said, isn't this a meme? He, Cam, feels that he is relatively rational. Although the statement that Kizaru is, second uncle, is extremely popular. But that's at least based on evidence. But Wong Lufei's invincibility in the movie version is more of a joke. Host, then can you explain why Luffy can defeat Golden Lion? Cam was speechless for a moment and had nothing to say. Ding equals according to the system detection, this is related to the Nika fruit that Luffy ate. Remember the golden pupils he had just now? That's Nika. Nika is the will residing in Luffy's body. When Luffy encounters an unbeatable opponent, it will help Luffy. Movie version, including special episodes. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. The system introduced a lot. The general meaning is that Nika can help Luffy increase his strength and weaken the strength of his opponents. And he, Cam, will not be affected by the weakening. So, World is actually very strong. The reason why he was defeated by Wong Lufei was purely because Wong Lufei had a cheat. Bingo. But that's not right, didn't the 5 elders say that World is not my opponent? Cam recalled the meaningful smiles of the 5 elders to himself, and felt that they didn't need to trick him. Ding equals according to the system detection, the 5 elders didn't want to hit your confidence, so they didn't tell you the truth. What? Cam was furious, feeling that the 5 elders were too much. If he had known that World was very strong, he wouldn't have acted separately. Wasn't he dancing on a tightrope just now? Those 5 stinky old men. Cam clenched his fists, but finally took a deep breath. He suddenly understood why they had to arrange a Navy admiral for him, even though that admiral was acting. Wait a minute. Cam was slightly stunned, as if he realized something. Since World is very strong, then Kizaru's fight with him was not acting. Then in this case, is Kizaru still Luffy's second uncle? Cam stroked his chin and thought, now that I think about it, Kizaru's final blow to Luffy, the scapegoat he was looking for should be Hancock. But after Hancock was blocked, Kizaru might have really planned to kill Luffy. And was World's appearance just an accident? Forget it, don't think about it. Cam shook his head and didn't dwell too much on the question of whether Kizaru was an undercover agent. At worst, he would use Kizaru less in the future. Knowing the future development trend, he can predict that the Dragon Life Army will eventually defeat their world government, but the one who really defeats, or in other words, beats them away, will definitely be Wong Lufei. So as long as he kills Wong Lufei, he can save his life and continue to be a celestial dragon. Damn celestial dragon, I'm going to beat you up. At this moment, Luffy's roar, wrapped in hurried footsteps, was approaching with a bang. Coming so fast. Cam looked back, just as he was about to make a strategic shift. Seeing a python not far away, he suddenly had an idea. Squeak. A slight sound rang out. Over there. Luffy pounced over here like a hungry wolf smelling blood, turning his head instantly. Quote. Cam bent over, held his breath, and looked through the crack in the door. I saw Luffy sweeping through the corridor, and there seemed to be a surge of air wherever he passed. After Luffy's figure rushed past, Cam decisively slammed the door shut. Little brat. Cam smiled triumphantly. He, Wong Luffy, has a movie version buff now and has become stronger. But his brain hasn't become smarter. A big python wearing his coat tricked him away. It's just that I always feel like I've seen that python somewhere. It seems to be. Cam stroked his chin and subconsciously turned around to continue thinking, but he didn't notice that this door was a suspended door. Was that Salome's voice? The room was filled with warmth, and Pirate Empress frowned slightly, as if she heard the cry of her pet python. Plop. Just as she was wondering, the sound of falling into the water suddenly came from a distance. Who? Chapter 19. What is it like to be mistaken for Luffy by the Empress? Thump. Quote. Water splashed, causing ripples. The warm water vapor was like the sunlight of spring, embracing every inch of skin, making the body feel comfortable from the inside out. This is a bath. Quote. Cam jumped out of the water, with a bad feeling in his heart. It's someone's bath, and it's coming towards me. Quote. Feeling the temperature of the bath, and another ripple coming slowly, Cam's heart went straight to his throat. Could it be that old woman? This place is located on Ship Island, and Cam subconsciously thought that Nakan, one of world's remnants, was taking a bath. Who? Quote. A graceful figure appeared in sight. She folded her arms and looked at Cam, who suddenly appeared, with cold eyes. Because of the rising heat in the light, she couldn't recognize who that person was for a while. Damn it, why is it her? The figure didn't recognize Cam, but Cam recognized the owner of the figure at a glance. The owner of the figure was not Nakan, but a woman who made Cam even more troubled. The world's #1 beauty who hated celestial dragons to the core, Pirate Empress Boa Hancock. Why am I so unlucky? Cam swam backwards subconsciously, just wanting to curse in his heart. Wong Luffy is fighting, and you are taking a bath here. Is this reasonable? Even if Wong Luffy doesn't allow you to participate in the war, you can't do this. Woo 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 woo. Cam couldn't help but cry, with a premonition that his life was in danger. An LSP like him can't resist Hancock's beauty at all. And it's still this kind of place. And Hancock's whole body. Just like Wong Luffy saw Hancock for the first time. Well, Frank. Man. Quote. Hancock frowned, hearing a slight male sob. Marrow 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 marrow, sweet perfume. Quote. Hancock formed a seal with her hands, and a strong pink energy formed circles of patterns, flying towards Cam. No. I don't want to turn into stone. Cam turned around and ran away, feeling that he was the most unlucky person. Just out of the wolf's den, and into the tiger's mouth. You must know that Hancock's hatred for celestial dragons is purer than Wong Luffy's. Now, with his half-baked strength, he is no match for her, the Pirate Empress. Whoosh whoosh. A sound of breaking wind came, and Cam, who was swimming in the water, couldn't outrun the pink circles at all. With a bang, the pink circles slammed heavily on Cam. No, I don't want to, huh? Quote. Cam's voice stopped abruptly, and he found that he had not turned into stone. Huh? Quote. Hancock was stunned immediately, not understanding how a man could resist her beauty. For a time, the scene fell into deathly silence. Could it be that the distance is not enough? Could it be Wong Luffy? In the next moment, two thoughts arose in the minds of the two at the same time. It should be. The distance is far, sweet perfume can't reach me. While now. Cam nodded secretly, thinking that this was the only possibility. He looked at the clothes not far away, and immediately thought of many plots in movies where people steal clothes and run away. I don't believe you can chase me naked. Cam said firmly in his heart. At this time, Hancock held her blushing face and murmured, it should be. Only Wong Luffy can resist my beauty. But Wong Luffy is really something. Why did he run in when people were taking a bath? Wait. This is the legendary husband and wife. Hancock's eyes glowed, and she fell into self-brainwashing, her face blushing all the way to the roots of her ears. When she came back to her senses, she saw the tiptoeing figure of Wong Luffy. Why are you still shy when you are an old couple? Hancock didn't think much, and strode up. Damn it. What is this woman doing? Doesn't she think of herself as a woman? Cam turned his head and saw Hancock walking towards him without any precautions, full of question marks. Is this completely not treating him as an outsider? However, Hancock's body. I can't look anymore, if I look again, I will turn into stone. Cam took a deep breath, dived into the water, and suddenly accelerated his escape. He had already made up his mind to take advantage of the cover of the water vapor, go ashore and steal Hancock's clothes and then escape. You, Hancock, can't chase me naked outside. Tat tat tat. Quote. Cam accelerated, but Hancock was even faster. She ran wildly behind Cam. For a time, on this hundreds-meter-wide bath, a very strange chase scene is being staged. If you have to describe it, Cam is like a sardine desperately fleeing in the sea. And Hancock is like a super yacht on the sea with the engine roaring, the sea waves humming underneath, stepping on the accelerator to the end without any scruples. Dwang. Hancock jumped up, her eyes fierce, and locked on the target. Wang Lufei. Stop. Quote. Hancock pounced on Cam, and controlled Cam in a very strange way to prevent the latter from escaping. If you have to describe it, it's like a primitive man driving a dragon. Quote. Something is not right. Why is Wang Lufei taller? Hancock frowned slightly and found that Wang Lufei was the wrong height. She quickly turned Cam's body over. Squeak squeak. Cam gritted his teeth, mustered all his strength to prevent himself from turning around. Just now, Hancock shouted. He already knew. Hancock had mistaken himself for Wang Lufei, so she didn't attack him again. If at this time, Hancock, this woman, finds out that he is not Wang Lufei, he will definitely turn into stone. Plus, he is still a celestial dragon, he will definitely be crushed into stone slag. But the problem is that Cam can't argue with Hancock at all. Less than 3 seconds. 2 pairs of eyes met. Cam. Hancock. For a time, the scene fell into deathly silence again. Comma comma. Comma comma. Huff huff. Quote. Cam came back to his senses, desperately breathing in the air. At this moment, the posture of the two is very strange. Yes, just like the famous scene of Lucy and Rebecca. The difference is that Cam is playing the role of Rebecca. He can't see Hancock's chin. The only thing visible on his face is that pair of sluggish and gradually gloomy eyes. Let go of me, you let go of me. Cam shouted desperately, trying to break free from Hancock's restraints. But now Cam's two-color hockey is only at the elementary level, how can he break free from the Pirate Empress's restraints? How could it be him? Hancock trembled all over, her mind went blank. The person who resisted her beauty just now was not Wang Lufei, but someone else. This other person is not someone else, but the celestial dragon she hates. Her body, unexpectedly, was seen by this kind of birth. Crash. Quote. Hancock couldn't accept it for a while, and her body fell down. Just right, it just covered Cam. Chapter 20 Cam. I am a gentleman. Bastard, get up, get up. I'm going to be suffocated by you. Quote. Feeling the increasingly scarce air, Cam's mind went blank. Hancock cried out in horror and quickly withdrew. Hancock. Do you want to attack a celestial dragon? Quote. Cam took half a step back after getting up, pretending to be calm and pointing at Hancock, roaring out, but he was extremely scared in his heart. At this time, he and Hancock were close at hand, the distance for sweet perfume was definitely enough. Most importantly, Hancock was standing. Standing frankly. In this situation, even Jesus would turn into stone. Unless Hancock really feared his identity as a celestial dragon and didn't attack. Marrow marrow marrow. Hancock formed hand seals, and rich pink energy converged into circles, flying straight towards Cam. Boom. The pink circles bombarded Cam's body. No, I don't want to turn into stone, I don't want to. Cam's movements stopped abruptly, and he found that nothing seemed to happen. What's going on? Cam looked dumbfounded, he had always thought that the first sweet perfume didn't reach him because of the distance. Looking at it now, that's definitely not the case. What's going on? Hancock frowned. As the initiator of sweet perfume, she knew that the first sweet perfume hit the person in front of her. At that time, he didn't turn into stone, so her first reaction at that time was that the person was Luffy. But just now, she already knew that the figure was not Luffy, but a celestial dragon. She attributed the reason for not turning into stone to the hazy water vapor, which obscured her vision. But now it's useless again. Doesn't this mean that the celestial dragon in front of her doesn't have any evil thoughts towards her, so pure that he can't be more pure? But how is this possible? He must be enduring it. An invisible flame rose in Hancock's eyes, and she formed hand seals again. Only Luffy in this world can resist my beauty. Not good. Cam cried out inwardly, subconsciously blocking his body with his hands. Boom. As a result, nothing happened again. Huh. What's going on? Cam was completely confused at this moment, and couldn't figure out what happened. System, you rarely have a conscience. Apart from the system, Cam couldn't think of anything else that could make him immune to Hancock's sweet perfume. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. The system said speechlessly. Open black lens bracket host. This system did not help you close black lens bracket. Huh. Cam frowned slightly. If it wasn't you, then what's going on with me? Open black lens bracket host. Have you felt a little tired these past few days? Close black lens bracket. Huh. Cam was slightly stunned, and his admiring gaze fell on Hancock. Suddenly, an unspeakable feeling. It was like being immersed in the seabed, quiet and peaceful. It was like searching for a fairy mountain, ethereal and illusory. It was also like an immortal, untouched by the mortal world, detached from the world. Damn it. So that's how it is. Cam's eyes lit up, as if Watson had discovered the blind spot. His battles a few days ago almost killed him on the battlefield. Until now, the CD hasn't turned good, and he can't have any evil thoughts at all, so he is absolutely immune to Hancock's sweet perfume. Great. Although this is not a good buff, it is a good thing in this situation. Cam immediately perked up, feeling that he could restrain the pirate empress with a special time. Boa Hancock. Cam raised his head, pointed at Hancock and said in a loud voice, "Your tricks are useless to me. I am a gentleman, how can I be shaken by your beauty?" Nonsense. Hancock glared at Cam. The only one in this world who can resist my beauty is Luffy. Hancock was unwilling to believe this absurd fact. Originally, only Luffy could resist her beauty, the only one. But now there is one more, and this uniqueness suddenly creates a sense of division. Coupled with her special feelings for Luffy, this sense of division has evolved into anger. In fact, if this person was an ordinary person, Hancock's anger would not be so great. But this person is not an ordinary person, but a celestial dragon whom she hates so much. Thinking of a bunch of messy, worse than birth, debuff-filled scum who can resist her beauty. Then what is her beauty? What is Luffy, who resists her beauty? The Empress has the Empress's arrogance, and she absolutely cannot tolerate her beauty being broken by such a person. Moreover, rather than believing that the celestial dragon in front of her is pure, Hancock believes that the latter is because the fear of death makes him have no thoughts in that regard. Marrow, marrow, marrow. Hancock quickly formed hand seals with both hands. She didn't use other methods. What she wanted was for the celestial dragon in front of her to bow down to her beauty and justify her beauty. Useless, useless, I am a gentleman. Cam raised his head and chest, looking like a gentleman, not flustered at all. His CD hasn't turned good. The blue amount is also insufficient. Evil thoughts. Doesn't exist. Boom boom boom. One muffled sound after another sounded, and pink circles bombarded Cam's body one after another, without any petrification. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Hancock shook her head in her heart, not believing that there was a gentleman like Cam among the celestial dragons who was not moved by her beauty at all. She accelerated the speed of forming seals, and her two jade hands directly produced afterimages. He must be enduring it, definitely. 10 minutes later. He must be enduring it, definitely. Hancock trembled with anger, and began to flirt with Cam, or stick to Cam's body, just wanting to break his defense. Ah! Petrify me, petrify me. Hancock completely went crazy and the speed of forming seals reached a higher level, sweet perfume poured down like a torrential rain. But Cam was still unmoved, with an attitude of letting the wind and rain blow, and I walk leisurely. Pirate Empress, aren't you tired from using your hands so fast? Cam felt that Hancock did not pose a threat to him, and his mind relaxed. Bastard, this bastard. Hancock gritted her teeth, feeling resentful but still stopped her movements. She made tens of thousands of seals. Her hands were really numb. At this moment, no matter how unwilling she was in her heart, she had to admit that the celestial dragon in front of her did not have any evil thoughts towards her and was indeed a gentleman. Okay. I admit that my beauty can't do anything to you, but. Whoosh whoosh. A piercing sound of breaking wind sounded. I saw Hancock's figure constantly flickering, appearing in front of Cam, raising her slender legs. Fragrant foot. Ah! Cam cried out in pain, and found that his abdomen had turned into stone. Damn it, I forgot about this. Cam cursed inwardly, his face becoming horrified. He just remembered that, apart from sweet perfume, all of the pirate empress's moves can turn people into stone without requiring any evil thoughts from the other party. Boa Hancock. Cam gritted his teeth, glared and threatened. I am a celestial dragon, do you dare to kill me? Your daughter island will definitely be exterminated. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.